Well, do we want to start this out, as we always do here in Gerard Vs Evil, with a rendition of the Pledge of Allegiance, guys? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands.
I do love the
one
republic.
nation. No, I don't. Matter of fact, the libertarian in me, when in Rome, and you are in Rome.
Are you not entertained? Everyone's a victim!
You're probably the more accurate parallel would be you are in Pompeii.
Yes.
Florida would be the Pompeii of Rome. That is the sweet siren sounds of Phil Romain. Goes by Promain show. What's going on, man?
What's up, man? It's been a long time coming.
It's been a lot. Been a big fan. Now you are Canadian.
I am.
Yep, and you look like a creative player that Drake would make in an NBA 2K4 game.
That's right. It's how it goes. It gives me power.
Absolutely, man. And to my left, we have the great Abdul Butt. Abdul, you guys have seen me do comedy with him down in Florida. Really, very, very funny dude. Great writer. Abdul, how you doing, man?
Hey, man. Thanks for having me here and your nice pad.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah. And many people wouldn't know it by looking at you, but you are also a stinking Canuck.
I'm a Canadian. Why do you got to be so rude? Jesus.
If you didn't believe it.
Yeah, we should just
but this
started.
is the difference. The difference.
It's already insulted both of us.
It's beautiful. I wouldn't change it for the world.
This is how it works, too, in Canada. I love it, too. This is how you know that this is the Toronto guy. You apologize for me insulting him, and this is the Montreal guy that got pissy with me for insulting him.
True.
So, right? I'm sorry. Do we want to start this over?
No,
Je
it's
m'appelle
fine.
Gerard.
No, it's great.
Oui, tutu. Yeah, so you do speak French, or?
I do speak French. I brought you this nice Canadian beer peace offering, and
He
then
did.
you insult me right off
Sorry.
the bat.
You brought a Labatt just to to make sure that we were a little bit
Listen,
French
I
Canadian.
gotta support the Canadians because their dollar is terrible
Oh my
right
God,
now.
it's getting
So
tanked.
I need to
It's at 67.
I'm paying my tariff regardless. I don't care.
So-
Pay your dues.
Before we get into it, I want to get into your guys' backstory a little bit, so the people listening know why they should give a shit. The trade war that we were going to talk about this morning when we decided to do this podcast was over by the time we did the podcast. So by the time it comes out tomorrow, who knows? Canada might actually be the 51st state. So you guys need to learn the.
Learn the Pledge of Allegiance.
What's going on up in Canada, guys? Like what? I grew up, in the New York metropolitan area. Every Canadian that I knew was so funny, very stoic, very, very tough guys. And now the kind of, I don't know if you want to paint with such broad brushes, but the stereotypical Canadian now is a much more sensitive, much more emotional, much more irrational person. When did this kind of zeitgeist change happen, do you think?
Can I cover
assuming
this one?
that you even agree that it did?
It happened on October 18th, 2015 when Justin Trudeau was elected. Because the leader of your country makes all the difference, man. Just the captain of the ship decides where the
Trudeau
boat
was in 2015? It's been 10 years?
He came into... Wow. Yeah, exactly.
Now, I know a lot of things, guys, but you guys are going to have to educate me on parliamentary politics. It's very confusing to me.
That's
very,
why
very
I'm
confusing.
here. We are here.
Yeah.
There's an immigrant.
Sam?
La migra!
So that's what's happened, man. Like, Trudeau has really brought the country in a different direction. And you can't just blame Trudeau. Trudeau is a reflection of the people who put him there. And he was there. He got there. He won 3 elections, right? So a lot of this is also Canadians being too comfortable and not having challenging times. Because when you don't have challenging times, you think everything's all good. Canadians don't really pay attention to politics as much as they should. They're not as patriotic about their country. That's always been something that I think Canadians needed to improve on.
Well, a good portion of the country wants to be its own country. Is that correct? Is that still,
well,
you
yeah,
guys still
of
have
course,
the separatist
of
movement,
course.
or?
But to me now, it's like all of a sudden now everybody cares about Canada. Everybody's talking about Team Canada. Everybody's all pro Canada. But just like a few months ago, just a few months ago, it was like we were a post-Canadian. We were not really a real country. We were on the land of Indigenous people, so it's been taken, and we don't really have anything we should be proud about. So that's kind of what's behind it, right? It's a multi-layered approach to why we've more or less
love Phil's passion. Phil's very I genuinely. I think one of the things that attracted to me to your work in the beginning is there's so many people in this, and then Abdul, I do want to get your opinion on that, but there's so many people in this, I don't know, political space in the the social media that I feel like are just truly grifters. They're using the moment, the hyper politicized moment, to build a personal brand. But I've genuinely felt that you have a true love and a desire to see your fellow Canadians happy and embracing freedom that you feel like is being eroded.
Absolutely, I do.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, before I did this, I never really told anybody this on my channel, so I'll reveal it here. I used to make music. Like, I still make music, but I was a rapper before. That's what I did. I was trying to make it as a rapper for many years. So after COVID, I also worked in the hospital. So during COVID, I saw that whole thing, and I saw a different message from the government from what I was seeing on the ground, working in the hospital. That's when I realized, like, hey, something's going on here. So I decided to move into...
You were on the front lines. You saw
I was,
it.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and this is when they were shutting down the truckers and everything like that. And
right.
Yeah, well, basically, I mean, that culminated to that. The truckers is what really showed... I was very, very happy when that happened. Because that
you
showed
were happy
that
when
it was basically it was a soft revolution. It's the reason.
Convoy.
Yeah.
The convoy.
The convoy.
Yeah.
So for people that
Simpsons
don't know, and Heather, who runs Give Send Go, is a very good friend of mine. They did incredible stuff. The people of Give Send Go for those truckers, because GoFundMe, first the Canadian government shut down all of their banks, right? Then they pressured GoFundMe to not release the funds that were donated to these truckers. The Canadian government essentially seized all of the assets of these truckers who were... Well, you know what? I don't know exactly. From America, it was very, very hard to get any sort of clear information as to what was happening.
Yeah.
At first, we were told that they were a bunch of white supremacists who were there
They were racist and misogynist, and that was enough to just do that.
It's nonsense.
That's like you just that's enough to
Most
just
people
freeze
just
their
eat
bank
that up,
accounts.
They just
like,
eat that
they're
up.
racist and misogynist.
A bunch of truckers got together.
Take their money and just they can't have money.
That's
These
right.
racists and misogynists.
That's right.
Yeah, sure, they're citizens, but that doesn't mean anything. Once you're a
crazy.
racist and a misogynist, it's crazy. It was like it was very. It felt manipulative. Like
Absolutely.
the way he came out, like Justin Trudeau came out and just addressed the nation and told them like this is why we should be scared of them. And then that gave him carte blanche. Like he could do what he wants afterwards. And Canadians don't like to be bothered. We don't like to fight against things, generally speaking, right? They see something, they go, all right, government, you do what you got to do. We'll just let you do it, right? And then they pile on. It was a weird time in Canada for sure. And then everyone was cooped up. So then that just made everyone even crazier. Yeah. You're told you can't do certain things. You're not allowed.
I have a friend
shaming each other.
Yeah, I have a friend that lives, I want to believe, I think it's London, Ontario she lives. And she had a neighbor who would sit on her porch with binoculars and call the cops on anybody who, they weren't allowed outside in their own backyard.
Well, I feel like that happens
That's
here with
what
all
they
these old
wanted.
people.
Well,
that's
they wanted
in Florida we call that the HOA.
That's right. They wanted to create that system of like snitching on your neighbor, just like communist Russia when it came in.
Yeah, something about the way Trudeau talks I don't like. I don't like the way he talks to everybody as if they are 4 years old.
Yeah.
And he condescends.
I can't stand his voice, man.
To make a decision about are we going to be those types of people. He talks like a heel in WWE. You know, like
Canada will fight back.
Like he's a bad actor. Like he went to acting school and he never passed it.
He's a drama teacher.
Was he a drama teacher?
He was a drama teacher.
He was a drama teacher?
He was a drama
no
teacher.
shit.
Oh, you didn't know
Was
that?
he really?
See, we got gems for you guys. We got gems for you Americans.
Dude, I've seen it. Well, apparently he was a boxer too, and I've seen him box. He wasn't a boxer.
He's a pretty good actor, though, I got to say. If you're saying he's not, he's a pretty good actor because he's convinced a lot of people
that he wasn't.
That he's
Fidel Castro's kid, or
right. He's doing great. I don't know. It's crazy to me that people. He's still the prime minister. Like it's like we just forgot that everybody hated him and wanted him out, and he resigned, and we're just going along with it now. Like they're just taking their time. We got to find they prorogue parliament, so basically it's on hold. Nobody's going back. No one's talking about it. So until the Liberals can find a new leader, they're not going back to Parliament. So everyone just kind of forgot about it, and he's running the show. It's like, honestly, dude, it feels like pure dictatorship. Like the way that he's doing what he's doing, it's like he's just being not like kind of like nonchalantly doing it, and we're just like going along with what he's doing. Nobody's calling him out. Everyone's just kind of like going along with his whole spiel, and the Liberal Party's still in power. They're holding hostage. They've been holding the government hostage since COVID.
My understanding is that there's really like 5 cities that control all of Canadian politics, and those cities are even by American standards, hyper liberal, and then the rest of the country, like you said, is either moderate or apathetic.
Well, it depends, because those things are changing now. Because what's happening is these things that have been happening has led to, like, Liberals have been down in the polls by 25% for the last 18 months. So the tide is changing, and it really started after the trucker protest, right? Like, that's the whole reason why this guy Pierre Poilievre, who's the leader of the Conservative Party, he's there only because of that trucker protest, because they got rid of this guy who you guys will call a rhino, who's a fake conservative, I would say, Aaron O'Toole. It's a tool. And so he was there, and he had no chance of winning, and so the truckers came in, they kicked him out. Pierre got put in by the truckers, basically, and he was an MP in Parliament for a while. And I've been watching Pierre since
hold on 1 second. Let's. I want to come back to it.
Yeah,
my audience is 90% American, and shockingly 5% Australian.
Yeah, me too.
So I don't want to talk above them.
Of course.
Let's go. What happened with the truckers? What actually happened, and why did it happen, from your perspective, to the best of your knowledge? And then 2, like a Schoolhouse Rock 60-second version, what is parliamentary politics? Because the idea of calling an election doesn't make sense to our American minds. We have an election once every 4 years. It is what it is, and we have midterms every 2 years. The concept of coalition governments, all this stuff, it's very, very difficult for us to comprehend, right? So let's start with the truckers. What happened with the trucker protest? Why did it happen? And was it I assume from your tone that they weren't racist, misogynist.
They were racist and misogynist.
And they decided, that's it.
Racist and misogynist, like a good road trip. So they all got together. And they traveled
in their 18-wheelers.
Down the 401, all of them together. They met. They've got a group, right?
From British Columbia.
They're very organized, racist and misogynist. They've got a group. There's a big organization of them. They all called each other on their CB radios, and they convened and followed. And then as they came across the west coast from British Columbia across to Ottawa, which is the nation's capital, they picked up people along the way. So the convoy got larger and larger. Yeah. And it was people who are generally, not to be sarcastic anymore, but they were upset. The climate in Canada was really shitty before COVID. Everything was going up in price. It was very expensive. Housing was like Vancouver, nobody could afford it. Toronto was getting the same way.
Yeah.
All the other cities were following.
Yeah.
Jobs sucked. There was not like good paying jobs. So people were working really hard, not getting enough for their dollar, and they just felt like stuck. And then COVID hit. And then everything got taken away from them. And it was already tough living in Canada. And now their jobs were, you didn't take the vaccine, can't go to work. You can't cross borders. You can't do certain things. You can't get on a plane. So many people's like lives were now at risk, their jobs. Dude, I didn't really want to take a vaccine, but I couldn't get on a plane and do shows anywhere if I didn't have a vaccine. So I had to take it. But there was a lot of people that stood their ground and didn't want to take it.
Like
right?
the truckers.
Yeah, like the truckers, which is fine. I don't have anything against that. You do what you want to do. That's great. If there's a part of me that wishes I did, and I didn't do that. But they just felt like they were being forced into a way of life they didn't want to be into, and life already sucked. And they wanted change. And to think that they were just convening over that stupidity is just crazy to me, because it's like, no, you just listen to what they're saying. Life sucks. I just want to make more money. I want to pay less taxes. I don't want to get charged for everything. And nobody listens.
And then on top of it, be called a racist or a misogynist if I disagree.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So, and for people that don't know, right now, today in Canada, the average price of a house is the same as a New York City suburb, while the average Canadian makes the average of what somebody in Mississippi, our poorest state, makes.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
The disparity of income to output is wild for a first world country like Canada to be experiencing.
Not to mention our dollar is so low right now. So most of the stuff, as you just saw with this trade thing, was they're worried because we have so many products that come from the U.S. So when you're doing stuff like when there's a trade war with everything, we get everything from there. The whole, like, I mean, you just gotta. Everything costs a lot more when your dollar sucks. Basically, you know, you're buying it from the U.S. So now your dollar sucks. Your life already, everything's expensive. You're not making people happier. People need to like get a value for their dollar.
Well, your
People
energy
suffer.
policy is insane. What Trudeau, what little I do know about Canadian politics, what Trudeau has done in the name of green and renewable energy. Did I drink your beer?
No, where's that bottle opener? Is it?
Oh, okay.
sorry,
I'm here not drinking my beer,
Sorry,
thinking
sorry.
I'm not.
Oh, is it a
allowed to
twist
drink.
off? Oh, thanks, buddy.
Guys,
Listen, I thought we
guys,
used one
listen.
earlier. Normally they're twist offs, but America's got
When-
all these weird things.
When you guys are the
Listen, buddy,
51st
please
state,
forgive him.
there's
Good
so
sir,
much
please
we can
forgive him.
teach you guys as the 51st state. There's so much that I look forward to teaching you. And Phil, do you kind of amplify what he's saying?
Yeah,
Like
he covered most of it. I mean, people were sick of the COVID mandates, and the truckers, you don't mess with truckers. They're tough.
And you did a phenomenal job of doing daily updates of what was happening behind the scenes and calling out a lot of the BS and a lot. You guys have some, like, we have propaganda here in America, but you guys have
We have
some
serious propaganda because it's
man.
very, very covert, and with the language, like one little word will change. They're
Dude,
they're
forget
good
the
at what they do.
language. We don't have a variety of networks.
Yeah.
Everything is so
But that
every
provides
news network
opportunities.
is government funded. So even the private ones get a ton of government funding. So they're not going to go against what the government tells them to say because they're not going to get their government funding. So to think that you're getting an honest opinion, you're not. There's no way you can be. There's certain things that you'll get an honest opinion on, but you're not going to get. There's not going to be good criticism against the government because they fund. I mean, I've worked on things that are government funded, and that's basically the moment you have anything in there, you got a joke that goes against a certain way, they want you to change it.
Well, you
So that was your
experienced
experience
that,
on
right?
because you were working directly
Yeah,
with the CBC.
I've experienced it in a lot of. I mean, even like I was working on a TV show where it was. I mean, it's government funded.
Yeah.
And I at the time the conservatives were in power when I was on it, and we went to a rally, one of their rallies, and I was cracking jokes with the politicians. They hated me because I was going after them. They were the government in charge. So
Can I just say, comedians have become the most important for the fight for free speech. That has been the central battlefield, and
right.
it's been way more important in the recent years. And I'm sure that you see that, and I know that you see that based upon the story.
The comedians that are willing to put truth above their
Yeah,
career,
exactly.
for
Right,
sure.
100%. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
there's a lot of them that won't.
Like I
Yeah.
just got
But
a
sorry,
lot of.
continue.
I was just
But
with the
it-
mothership, and I got a lot of trouble for talking
Yeah.
shit about Whitney Cummings and Nikki Glaser in the middle of industry where you're not supposed to. And I was
Yeah.
like, nah, you bitches don't get to do that. You don't
don't.
get to be
It's
anti-establishment now. You don't get to be pro-cancel culture, take the vax, and then 3 years later, oopsie daisy, this government's whack, isn't it, guys? That's not how this
Yeah.
works. Step aside and let somebody that took the lumps step into that space.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, but it's all a business, right? It's all a show.
Sure.
It's what you're doing. So
But
that's
that's
what they do.
part of it is what they should do what they do, and then part of it is me
Right.
bullying them out of doing it, right? So I mean, that's the way the free market works. They don't,
Yeah.
and at the end of the day, they're going to win. I'm not, but it's important for them to know that we see you, man.
Absolutely.
Like, we see you, dude. And you were canceled in Canada. You were part of the cancel culture, as it was.
Well, I would get in a lot of trouble because I would do things that were a little bit risky on that show. So
Which show was this?
This hour has 22 minutes. It's a comedy show in Canada. You've heard of it. It's been on the air for a long time. But it's basically the Daily Show
it's a
of
decent
Canada.
show.
It's a Daily Show of Canada, right? It's a political satire. So yeah, that's. I mean, like I was saying earlier, there's clear government control over it because the perfect example. I did a piece. It was a conservative party. They were the government in power. Because I was poking fun at them, the showrunner was like, we can't go this hard at them because they're basically because they control your funding.
There was
So
no,
it's
there's
ridiculous.
no
If you go
concept
after
of
them,
speaking truth
you
to
know,
power.
You go exactly.
the
If you
entire
go
point.
after them, they're gonna stop. And this was a conservative party,
Yeah.
so You know, people want to say, well, like, oh, the liberals control the media. It's like, no, the government in power controls the media.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter liberal or conservative. Whoever's in power controls the media because they control the funding. So they're going to only want to please them.
Is it all? I believe it's just CBC that they fund, right? Are they funding Globe and Mail and other?
They fund every media outlet. Globe and Mail, I'm sure there's funding for everything. In Canada, the media industry is funded by the government.
As far as
There's
I knew,
so
it was
many
only
grants.
CBC.
There's so many grants. No, CTV gets government grants for diversity, inclusion, all that stuff that they want to have, like the government's trying to push mandates on.
You see, that's essentially
They give funding
fascism,
for
though.
them.
When you're mixing when you're mixing business with government, that's a conflict of interest. Your government can't fund the media because then they can't be really critical, right?
Yeah, it shouldn't be funding government initiatives. It shouldn't be like the government wants to do this, so we're going to give the media money to help us push this narrative to everybody.
But you see, they're failing. This is the thing, though. Now, this is the best part: is that the media in Canada is failing, and in America too. This whole thing with Trump's election has really proved last year that the media no longer hold the cards. They have sway, but they no longer hold the power. The power now is with people online. It's with people who do what you do, what I do, and that's who shapes the narrative now. We're not shaping a narrative. We're just bringing the truth. But people are wising up to all of this, and that's the good thing that's happened recently, in my opinion.
It is and it isn't. So it's interesting hearing you guys say this because, as bad as that sounds, in many ways, our deregulated open media market allowed for other governments to control our media. It is so very obvious now that our media is controlled by external factors, NGOs, what we're seeing now from USAID. The UN has had China has had a remarkable influence on the information flow in America. And you're right in that they missed with social media. They tried to they're too rich and they were too old, and they didn't realize that by putting somebody in detention makes them cool. So when you take I never paid attention to Alex Jones until they kicked him off air, and then I said, why is he the guy? True. Why out of all of the people who say crazy things, why is I always dismissed Alex Jones. We talked about it on the PBD podcast. I was like, he's a kook. And then I went back and actually listened to him, not the clips that were chopped and screwed. And I should have known better. I've been in media my entire adult life, but I had this opinion, this understanding. It's mine. I had this opinion and this understanding that Alex Jones was just a lunatic and, somebody to be ignored. And then they got rid of him first and foremost. And I was like,
was
that's
the first one, really
weird. And you go back and you watch him and you're like, oh,
you've seen the stuff from 2011 that he's talking about? He's like, they're going to bring a vaccine, they're going to make people take it.
Yeah.
In 2011, it's
wait a minute.
Dude,
I didn't know any of this.
Atrazine actually does make the frogs gay?
Yeah, make the frogs
Wait,
gay.
he was right?
Like, what?
That whole thing, he was right about that? You said it that a plane, in September...
Yeah, he predicted 9/11.
In September, a
Yes,
plane is going to go into the World Trade Center, and they're probably going to blame Osama bin Laden for that?
Yeah. I think he said the FBI.
That's a pretty good guess. That's a pretty good guess. And it turns out, listen, the big thing I will agree with is that we are entering the age of authenticity. And I love that. You can't be fake anymore. Yeah. There's none of this. You have to be who you are and accumulate your audience. There's no... the pop star era is done. Yeah. This package pop star idea.
Man. Taylor Swift's crushing it, buddy. You can't say that.
But she couldn't get Kamala elected.
All right, so fair.
She couldn't get Kamala elected.
Well, that's it.
Hollywood
Well, that's it.
What is her Kamala elected?
Yes. Well, listen, I don't know.
It was the podcast. It was the
liberal white women are definitely the last. They're the last ones to embrace the age of authenticity for sure. Yeah. But I do want to get into and we do have the clip, David. Let's play this clip of Abdul ruining his career.
Hey, Bill, congratulations on your first show of 2015. Way to start the year off with a bang. Hope it was consensual this time, though, Billy.
Dear Central
Did they send you out here to freeze your pudding pops off, Billy? They sent your prison sentence in America. Freeze them pudding pops. All right, Billy. Thank you.
Out of all the things that you said to the politicians, it was holding Bill Cosby to account that got you exiled to America.
Oh
Wow.
yeah, definitely. Well, listen. Canada, like I said, dude, we don't like ruffling feathers. At that time, everyone still loved Bill Cosby. I was like, he got canceled.
wow.
Like he got canceled in America. He had a bunch of shows in Florida, and it was just as all this stuff came out with Bill Cosby. They canceled his shows in Florida, so the only place you can find shows was in Ontario.
Wow,
So
I
they
didn't know
did,
this.
yeah, Kitchener, London. And I think Hamilton, I want to say there was 3 places in Ontario that did shows with Bill Cosby. So I went there with 22 minutes to ambush him. We were trying to figure a piece, what we can do. So I came up with this line, and I was like, I'm going to yell this line at Bill Cosby, which I'm sure you're going to play. And dude, it was like we all had a good laugh. We were like laughing afterwards. We thought it was going to be all great. Somehow, someone at CBC grabbed it and put it on the news, like it was a news reporter. And I yelled a rape joke in a sense. It was a joke towards Bill Cosby. Everything going on. So the
You
news
should have asked Bill Cosby for consent to joke.
Dude, totally right. I mean, at least the CBC should have asked me consent to put it on
wild.
the news, man. Dude, they put it on the news like I was a reporter. So everyone was like, "Who is this guy yelling a rape joke at Bill Cosby?" And then they got really mad because they were like, Bill Cosby's innocent until proven guilty.
Oh, my
Everybody was like
gosh.
on board with this. And I'm like, are you guys crazy? And the show didn't have any balls, so they just left me out.
Well,
to
that
hang.
aged well for you then,
What's that?
From my perspective, that aged well for you. I mean, you were ahead of the curve.
Well, it
in
didn't
his
because I
critique.
got fired,
Yeah.
and then it didn't really
That's why
help
I
my
put my
career.
perspective on that. I had to put it from my perspective.
Everyone's
on
like
that.
the guy that's gonna yell a rape joke at somebody at some point. So it just.
But you did the right thing, man.
right, and that's
He's homeless on the street,
yeah, but
canning.
I'm like, it's like it worked out for you, brother.
His
pretty
ex-girlfriend walks by arm in arm with his old producer. Yeah, hey, you know what? Turns out you were right, bud. Here's 5 pence.
Don't kill me. Damn. But
Can I
did
have my job
it
back?
somehow
Can I have my
lead
job
to
back,
you
please?
being
No,
here?
no, you can't. Canada's got a weird thing with black people, man. They're so hypersensitive. Like if Bill Cosby,
it's because they're scared to feel racist. This is the thing. Canadians are so nervous. So they know, like deep down, there's a lot of racism.
It's
in
the
Canada.
cardinal
There's
sin.
a lot of racism in Canada, but they're nice people, so they don't mean it. Right? In a weird way, they're like they kind of like
the way
try
he
to
looked
be
at me,
polite.
the way he looked at me was like the way you do.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's like they're not sure. It's like they're in this weird space of like, how do you act around people? Because they're so new. To have a different ethnicities is so new to a lot of Canadians. So that's how you got to tiptoe around it. So there's always like, and then now with that whole movement stuff, it's like the moment you're like, well, is it because you're racist? And oh my God, not me. No, of course not. So they freak out. So everything's like kind of hyper, like overly funded and trying to push that narrative.
Yeah.
And just because they're just trying to, it's almost like they're overdoing it, just trying to cover up their racism.
If
still there.
they could cancel an Abdul for being racist, a Tom doesn't stand a chance, dude.
Actually, no.
that's
Braden
true.
stands
Tom-
no
That's a good
chance.
point.
Tom will be all right, man, because Tom is a white dude, and they'll forgive him. He'll be all right.
Really? You think that's what it was?
Oh yeah.
So if he did the same thing, if he was like, do you think he would have had the balls to joke at Bill Cosby?
I don't think anything bad. No, I don't think they would have. I don't know if they. I mean, I don't know. There might be a Tom out there with the balls, but I can't speak for that. All I can say is I feel like, yeah, you get more chances if you're like one of them.
Dude, I thought it was a funny joke, and I also thought like if you can't
A lot
joke,
of people
if you
did.
can't joke as a comedian, if you
right.
can't
What's
joke
the
at
point?
Bill Cosby,
Yeah.
and Bill Cosby should have been like,
Dude,
you got me, like.
He wasn't
And
ready for
everyone
that.
How's it a
loved
how
it.
dare you
Dude,
moment?
everyone loved it. The writers were freaking out. They couldn't believe I said what I said to them. Everyone loved it, but the network got a ton of hate mail. A ton of people like wrote in, called in. So they just were like so scared. Like I said, when that shit hits the fan, they're super nervous. They just don't want to. They don't want to stir the pot. That's why when you got truckers going, they're unhappy. Everyone's like, I don't know. I don't want to get involved. I might lose my job or my bank account. I'm going to stay home.
Sheesh.
But
So
they had a lot of
that's
support.
it's hard to like Americans get riled up. You guys like really stand behind each other.
Well, we have guns.
Well, exactly. And I
We
think
had
that's
guns
what people
until they all got
want,
taken away.
Is it
We
you had
allowed
guns
them
taken
to
away?
get taken away. Handguns are banned. Every type of gun is banned. It started with assault weapons in 2020.
And you guys want to go to a trade war with us?
Right? Crazy. We allowed them to do this.
Good luck to you.
And then the final step.
Just out there slap shot from across, just
right.
just from across Niagara, just ripping clappers at us. So we're like, stop it.
No lumber
Seriously.
for you. We're gonna keep our wood over
right.
here. All right. Just stay away.
The final step was that Trudeau was sending people to collect the guns by force.
So this is recently?
By force, collect the guns by force
Really?
in Canada by October 25th of this year. That's what was supposed to happen. Canada Post, which is so Canada, the parliamentary. So we can go back to the parliamentary system after how it works and stuff. But in Canada, we have things called crown corporations, and crown corporations are things like CN Rail, for instance. They're kind of a public-private partnership where the government, it's the crown would be like the queen, so it's like known as a crown corporation. So Canada Post is a crown corporation, and they refused to collect the guns because they didn't feel safe, and they shouldn't
Well,
feel
that's
safe.
hilarious
because
that they sent the mailmen to collect the guns.
Exactly. Exactly.
Is that what that
So,
is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
because
Is
they
that
thought
what that is?
Because
Yeah,
they
it's
thought
like
that they would
USPS.
fall in line. Yeah. They thought that they would fall in line.
Imagine
So.
Clevis from USPS coming to. You got
Excuse me,
guns
sir.
in there.
So,
Just put a little post stamp on
so
it.
anyway, here's a
Yeah.
letter from your mom. And if I can have your handguns, please, huh?
Yeah. So I covered that one, and so they refused, and then
And you guys got
do they
rednecks
put
in
it-
Canada. A lot of people don't know this. You guys have rednecks in Canada too. You go
course
up.
we do,
You go
yeah.
up north a little bit, up to the bush.
lumberjacks and all
Do
that.
they put
yeah.
it in their mail bag? Like, where do they put the gun after they
That's
collected
right.
it from
And
you?
all the police associations also said they're not going to enforce this, not going to do it. So Trudeau was trying to get an outside. I don't know who he was going to hire, maybe UN soldiers or something like that. But they're
crazy.
still trying to find people to come around and collect these guns. They call it the gun buyback program, which makes it sound like it's optional, but it's not optional. If you go onto the government website, it's called the gun buyback program, where they force you to give them the gun and they'll give you money for your gun, but you have no choice.
We did gun buybacks in America
So-
where gangbangers, no questions asked, in California, gave their guns in to the police, and the police would give them $500 for the guns, which
Yeah.
then allowed them to buy 2 guns on the street
That's
with
right.
the money that they got
See?
from the gun
Yeah.
buybacks.
But even that is an option, right? It just sounds nice. Gun buyback.
Dude,
program.
it's just,
optional.
again, culturally, and I've been to Canada multiple times. I love Canada. Every time I'm there, the people are great. But culturally, there is that difference where it's like,
Yeah.
it feels like you're in America until people start talking, and then you're like, oh man, this is not America at all. Like, there's like the things that people are okay with there or go along with there. I'm just like, this would never work.
It's a lack
man.
of will
It's
to
like-
fight. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
It's a lack
it
of will
would
to
never,
fight.
But see, it's two extremes. That's the thing. Is like if they can somehow find a middle ground, it would be great. Like Canada's great. People are awesome. They're super nice. I don't ever feel like I need a gun. I never, like, in my life was in Canada be like,
Drake wasn't
I could
rolling around the
use a
6,
gun right
yeah.
now. No, I never thought, like, but as Canada's progressing now and turning into almost some mini America, I get why you guys have guns. Like, I get it. I've been in America for a while now. I see why you guys
Better to
want
have it and
guns.
not need it.
I know, but we never needed it. That's the thing.
No.
Is like,
I
and you never. And I
have
like
a different opinion on that.
I mean, depends where you grew up, buddy. But I mean, even at that, I've known people, and if there were no guns in the area you grew up, you wouldn't have needed it. That's
So
the thing. Is
the
there are
entire-
no guns, you don't need a gun.
The entire reason about the gun is not that you need it per se, but you have it to protect yourself and your family. There's been multiple stories now, especially like in many different cities in Toronto, where there's a home invasion, and the only reason why it got stopped, and Lord knows what they might do to your wife, is because the guy has a gun and he was able to fire back. But then they drag you through the court system. But the reason for guns, primarily, is the same thing in the States. It's to protect against tyrannical government when they come to power. That's the whole reason why we need to have...
Really? Are you gonna? How are you gonna?
Absolutely.
How are you gonna fight the government? They have bombs.
Because you have... It doesn't matter.
They got
You have
tanks
guns.
and shit?
No,
So
no,
you have to fire
wait,
some pistols. So
wait.
look,
This is. I can answer this one because this is.
Because you're American.
Joe
and you
Biden
guys
said.
have
Joe
them.
Biden said this. Eric
Yeah.
Swalwell said this.
Okay.
And then we laugh at them in Vietnamese. We laugh at them in Afghanistani. Like you, at the end of the day, and I'm friends with many veterans, and you got drones, and you have all these things. At the end of the day, drone operators have families. At the end of the day, soldiers have families, and they live in these communities.
Yeah.
And it's. I understand how dramatic it sounds, and I understand how draconian it sounds, But the threat of mutually assured destruction is one of the most safe places to be. The idea that if you come in to my place and you Ruby Ridge my family and you kill my son and you kill my wife, I'm going to take 6 or 7 of you with it. And you can be like, well, the government's got a lot more than 6 or 7. Yes, they do. But tell that to the agent making $65,000 that he has to be the first one in the door.
Yeah, but
So-
I mean, dude, what if they just roll up in a tank?
Okay? If they roll up in the tank, the idea is that community policing and community, and we have experienced this, and we experienced this at Bundy Ranch in America. We've experienced this in many different instances where the government, if you're rolling up in a tank, do you understand what should be inside and the threat to the rest of the community that it should be? Because if what's inside is just somebody that's disobeying you, well, the rest of the community says, get that fucking tank out of here. And those people that are behind the tank then, right, the suits making the couple $100,000 a year,
Right.
they start getting surrounded by people who they don't know whether they're armed or not. And it forces, there's a certain level of accountability.
Hitler-
That's a little
Hitler-
extreme.
Hit-
I don't know if
Mr.
the government wants to go after its own people in that sense.
Buddy, you just spent the
Absolutely,
first
they
20
do.
minutes talking
So-
about
so-
how they
so
shut down
they-
people's
yeah,
entire
So let me
countries.
stop you right there.
No,
Let me
What are we
stop you right
talking
there.
about here?
Let me stop you right there.
They won't do it again.
No, I get it. No,
Hitler
I
said if you want to
understand,
take over
but
people,
guns-
take their guns.
Listen,
Hitler
first of
said
all,
if you want
I
to
ain't
control
fucking
people, take their
dying for
guns.
None of this bullshit, dude. I'm going to the fucking woods and I'm fishing. I don't
Sure.
give a shit.
No, but
you
that-
guys can fucking shoot
Bro,
at
but
each
that's-
other
that's
all
your
day long.
But that's your prerogative.
It's the principle.
I guarantee if your dad said no to a cop
No, I get
and
it.
then
I mean,
a
there's-
cop murked your dad, you'd feel differently.
Well, listen, I get it. There's a lot of countries that are going through this right now. I mean, you just turn on the news, and there's a lot of countries that are getting, their houses are being taken from them. Everything's being blown up. So I get it. It could definitely happen. But at what do you do? I mean, if they all had guns, would that have changed it?
Guns are the great equalizer. If
They
it
are.
wasn't for guns, guys like me would just be walking around as fucking warlords all damn day, telling everybody to do what we want them to do.
Would you say
taking
essential-
people's wife, throwing over their shoulder?
Well,
like,
yeah,
Would you
see,
say
so
it's a-
that's what I'm saying is the difference is the culture, because like Canadians are not gonna do that. We're
Really?
Yeah, dude, man.
you
When
got
I think
some.
they
You,
will.
you got some.
I
You got
think they
some.
will.
Today's a different
You got some
story.
conquest in your
Today's
blood
a
there,
different
but
story because we've changed our landscape has changed so much very fast. Like Canada changed. There's so many different people from so many different places where their like crime was nothing, and even they come to Canada like, what? I get a slap on the wrist if I do this. They don't care. So they'll do things now that Canadians would have never done. But you're letting in a lot of people from other countries, which is fine if they're really in trouble and you need to help people. But there's a lot of people coming in at one time, and nobody's really
impossible
overseeing
to
it.
vet them.
And it's and
You're already in
that's
a position
changing.
where housing is unaffordable.
Dude, it's changing
Jobs
a
are
lot.
not paying a lot.
You go to their countries where they would like, dude, you're going to jail, you're getting beat, you're gonna get hurt
Sure.
if you do anything bad. And then they come to Canada and are like, what? I could steal $1 million. I go to jail for a month if I get caught.
Yeah.
And I'll get out and like just run away.
Yeah.
Dude, they're all gonna do that. They're gonna rob. That's what's all the jewelry stores getting robbed and everything happening that's going on now. It's like, of course.
I mean, even in
Bars,
America, you
dude,
have to
Of
run the
course,
Congress to
dude.
do that.
You can
yeah.
do what you want and get away with it. So that's the problem. But when I was growing up in Canada, it was a different way. When you were growing up, I'm sure, I don't know, it was different. It didn't feel like that. It wasn't. Everyone was on this same page.
Yeah.
You know, you could leave your door unlocked. Nobody
could, yeah.
bothered anybody. You know, and that's how it felt. It felt comfortable. It felt safe. I never felt, man, dude. I turn on the news now. I'm from Montreal. There's shootings almost every night.
Yeah.
That never happened. Unless it was the mafia, it was controlled, it was one dude, and it was a few in a year because they fucked up. But the rest of, and it wasn't like, now it's gangs. Now it's just random shootings, stupid shit. Young kids, man, 16, 18, 20-year-old kids.
The problem
all
is
this
it only
stuff, that
takes
never
one
happened.
person. In the utopian ideal, it only takes one bad apple. 99 people can be great, and that
Yeah.
one person can cause
But
so
then every
much.
correct.
night,
That
dude,
is
now
correct.
it's every night.
Yeah, but I don't think it's law-abiding citizens that would do that, right?
No,
like
100% no.
it's always the issue. Like whenever there's a shooting in America, and we get these harpies, like we gotta get rid of drugs, or guns. I'm sorry, we gotta get rid of guns, and I'm like, yeah, we should definitely make murder illegal. Well, like let's do it. I'm in. Like let's make murder illegal. And if legality
You can't
is
get rid of guns in America because you guys are too far gone. And Canada shouldn't get rid of gun hunting. Dude, I'm all for hunting. No, you guys can't. There's just too many guns. You guys have everything.
buddy.
You guys don't even have
You know,
guns. You have rocket
So,
launchers. You guys have all sorts of shit.
And they
my father and my
absolutely should have
father and
them.
my sister got into a huge
Yes.
argument. My father and my sister got into a huge argument a couple of years ago, and she was taking the side of like, we just don't need guns, and my dad's like, yeah, okay, don't get a gun then. Like, he's not gonna argue with her, and she
Yeah.
just won't let it go. He'd be like, Emily, I'll be the last human being on earth with a gun, so like, you don't ever have to have one. I wish you would have one, but you know, you don't have to have one. And she's like, what do you need a gun for? She's like, if somebody breaks into the house. She's like, nobody's life is worth anything in this house. And my father had the coldest line of all time. He goes, I agree. That's why they shouldn't break in. It was
That's right.
100%. That's a decision they're making, not a decision I'm making.
Man, I want to go
Yeah.
shoot some guns after this.
Yo, dude, Big G was like, Big G, and he meant it too. He was like, I agree. That's why they should stay the fuck out. Because if they come in this house, pow pow, and they're like,
Yeah, you guys have people that will come. I mean, Canada now, but that's what I'm saying.
how many people are in Canada? What's the
40
population?
40 million.
Oh, it's 330 million of us that are here legally.
100%.
We have as many illegals
get
in
it.
this country
This
as you have people.
This is why I'm saying
Well-
that. Dude, there was a point, I think there was more black people in jail in America than all of Canada.
We used to be a proper country.
You guys are like a different beast. Like, you guys
I'm
are
joking.
huge.
I'm not a racist. I don't think Sam is getting my comedy. I think she's like, are we okay here? Do I need to call somebody? This
more or less
racist has
saying
guns.
Canada's not really diverse in that sense. But yeah, no, you guys have a lot of people, and they're all condensed in certain areas, so many different places. I get it. There's a lot of crime, and then the thing is but when life is good, I feel like crime goes down, right?
Mm-hmm.
People could afford stuff. They're not robbing you for some money that they need to eat, right?
Yeah.
They got jobs. So the thing is, if you make life good for everyone in your country, then the crime goes down. Crime
Naturally,
went up
yeah.
in Canada because things got harder. People were losing their houses, gentrification.
Yeah.
They were living there forever. They got kicked out. Now they're on the streets.
Well, this is the
You're
whole
depressed.
socialist.
You're
This is the
doing
whole
drugs.
socialist sales pitch, right? It's just that their methodology to get us there always works in the inverse. But I will say also, very funny side note. I once told him when he first moved here and I met him, and I was again very impressed with his comedy, his writing, which is something I'm not often, especially with people down in Florida. But he was like, for some reason we started talking about the guns. He was like, the guns are crazy down here. And I was like, yeah, man. Yeah, but, it's beautiful. Like, you can go buy an AK-47. He goes, no, you can't. I was like, oh yeah, you can. He goes, no, you can't. That's illegal. You can't do that. I was like,
You could.
Chopper.
But when
Chopper.
it's because when I moved here, it was right when they put sanctions on Russia. So there were certain things at that time.
Sanction on the
AK-47s
Kalashnikov.
was one that they were going to put on or did put on.
Yeah.
But then it got taken off down the
Oh, they put a sanction on the AK?
Dude, they were built. I don't know if they still are. There's an AK-47 factory right here in
It's the
South
best
Florida.
gun. It shoots
They-
underwater.
They build them right here.
They
Which
do?
I was like, what? I thought you guys were like so anti-Russia. And
all-
now you're
no
like,
way.
oh, you got Russia, you got guns.
we're
bring 'em over
anti-Russia,
here.
but we invite Alex Ovechkin to the White House. It's all, come on. It's
Yeah,
all
I-
nonsensical.
well,
I think at the end of the day, like in another war.
That's another one you Canadians went nuts on Ukraine. You guys are all about Ukraine. My God. And it turns out 70 out of the 180 billion actually made its way to Ukraine. That's the biggest
crazy.
scam
Dude,
of all time.
You guys roped us into
all
Ukraine.
time.
What do you think? It was our idea? We didn't. We had no choice.
That's
You guys-
true.
Well, I mean, we
It was,
did, but our
Mr.
prime minister went
You
You
along
think
Biden
it's
with
and
us?
it.
I feel like
Kamala.
you guys do whatever the UN. You guys seem to really like Europe. Whatever
Are you
Europe
mad?
wants to do, you guys seem
America
to like.
funded the Ukraine war more than any other
Oh,
country.
I know. Well,
so
of
that's
course, now
your
we know
war.
100,
That's not ours.
110 billion of it just went to Sam
what do we s-
Bankman-Fried. Like, we like.
Dude, we sent like a couple of Jeeps. We didn't do. You guys
The
were
only Jeeps
full
we
on
had.
funding it, man. Like
Crazy.
We,
We
didn't
only
suck
have
at
that
you
Jeep.
Dude,
into
and
it.
now I don't know if you saw any of the leaked phone calls from Victoria Nuland,
No.
one of the truly most evil human beings to ever walk planet Earth, and nobody knows her name. Victoria Nuland is the architect, the architect of the Iraq War, the Afghanistan invasion, and the Ukraine invasion. She is truly a remarkably evil human being. Like,
who pissed this woman off?
no, she wants to be Donald Rumsfeld. She prays at the altar of Dick Cheney, but somehow Democrats love her because woman in power. She is so remarkably evil. And listening to her talk
The best female
and
leaders
sound
are
like she's
conservatives.
running like a corporate smash session as she's talking about overthrowing a duly elected democratic government, which is hilarious because our election was a threat to democracy. Meanwhile, she's talking about overthrowing the elected government in Ukraine. It's just remarkable. It's remarkably bad. It is one of the most shameful periods in American history. These last 4 years are something that are going to be
dark.
they're going to be talked about for the next 100 years as it comes
Dude,
out.
we're not done yet. This is just the beginning. We're not
dark.
even done. Like, we haven't even got into anything with what's happening with, I mean, the whole reason why you guys were fighting Russia, it's still going on. You're trying to, you want the Northwest Passage, man. You're looking for that trade route. That's what you want.
We can.
That's what you want.
Nah, well,
what are you going after Greenland and Canada for?
Well, no.
What do you guys like the snow all of a sudden? You guys want to fucking
the Arctic
throw
shipping
snowballs at each
We're
other?
gonna want a little of that liquid gold underneath there now that we have some
There it
technology.
is. Right,
Yeah.
Well,
right.
somebody
Yeah,
better,
so there's
somebody better use
Some
the
sweet,
resources.
sweet resources.
There's
If you're just
resources.
sitting
There's a
on it
lot
and not
of
doing
so-
anything with it.
Fucking the Danish aren't doing shit with Greenland.
Well,
what
listen,
the
They
hell?
Well,
lost it
that's-
in World War II to the Nazis. Okay, if America didn't come there, they would have lost that thing.
Yeah.
So
The
I don't
whole
want to hear the
idea
Danish
is
talk
that
about
that's,
anything.
That's your Ukraine war. Your Ukraine war is all about trying to disrupt Russia. You're trying to take Russia out. That's all you're doing.
I don't think. I think Ukraine. I think it's
think?
actually.
The people, they really like the Ukrainians.
No, I actually think it's much, much, much more nefarious. I think
Yeah.
that all of the billions and trillions of dollars that were being funneled illegally into the military-industrial complex, it was no longer tolerable for America to kill poor brown people in Afghanistan. So they just shifted the theater like that and moved to the Ukrainian theater so that they can test out all the... They've been using the Ukrainian theater to test out a lot of their new technology. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people have died. And they did it because it just wasn't going to be politically correct to bomb brown people in Afghanistan anymore, man.
No, dude, it's not political correctness. It's just they had to shift over. There was more money and the resources there than there was in opium. So they left Afghanistan. They're not going to stay there. And not to mention, the moment they left Afghanistan, you could look the dates up. Russia put in their bid to the UN to claim the North. And that's literally a week or two later,
Yeah.
America pulled out of Afghanistan, was lining up in Ukraine.
You also have the Ben Gurion Canal that's going through the decimated parts of Gaza now, and then you have the pipeline that wants to run from southern or northern Africa through
Turkey.
the Mediterranean up to Turkey, right?
So all these wars are
go
for
to
a
Europe.
reason. They're not just these people we're trying to push.
well, they're not
around.
wars, right? I mean, technically.
Right. They're not. Well, yeah. Why are they not wars?
Well, in America, only Congress can declare war.
Yeah, that's true.
And there's wartime powers. Everything that we've done
so what do they call? Oh, right. Well, they're not at war with.
is
Ukraine.
very
You're
illegal.
right. You're right.
It's not
I
a
know.
hot war.
It's not. Yes.
There's no Americans
It's a
there.
war
But
war.
dude, are we going to
It's
believe
between cold.
anything that? It's
No,
all
I
bullshit.
actually I've met operators that would have been on the ground, which is a war crime. I've met operators that
dude,
have
for
been
sure
on the
there's
ground,
people-
American
yeah.
operators on the ground
Yeah.
in Ukraine.
Yeah.
That yeah, I mean,
You're at war. Why? Because CNN didn't call it a war. You guys are just going to pretend it's not.
no, because our government did not declare war.
Well,
like
you guys
it's
you guys are kind of like Canadians, where you're like you just kind of avoid it.
It's
Like,
like,
oh, you know,
excuse me?
no one,
Excuse
no one, no
How
one.
about I avoided it? I brought
I'm
it
sorry,
up.
Nobody declared it
I
a
brought
war,
it up.
so we're just going to pretend
conde-
it's not.
No, I condemned it, and here's the thing: we should end it tomorrow. I guess what I'm disagreeing with you is that Greenland is somehow connected. We don't need to fight over Greenland. We can buy it for 14 whoppers.
They're gonna
or
get
something
Greenland.
like that.
You're gonna get
I mean,
Greenland.
what the fuck, Now Canada could be a little bit more expensive.
Canada's got to be expensive, dude. We're not for sale, first of all.
I love it. I love how proud the Canadians
for
are.
sale.
I love how they think they have a say in this.
Sale.
That's great.
Yeah, no.
But I get it. We are kind of that's what gets me. This is what pisses me off is because for decades we've been always just holding on to America's balls. We can't let go. We gotta do everything they want to do. And I get it. You got the military, but Canada's just been so lazy at taking care of our own shit in our own country.
Absolutely.
Because we were just relying on America. Don't worry, someone comes, America's going to come. Instead of like actually protecting
That's
your own
the truth.
country, coming out with your own military,
That's the
having
truth.
your own, all that stuff. We should have all our own infrastructure.
But it seems like the
But we just
Canadian
wait on
government,
America,
from the
and now we're
outside
screwed.
looking in, it seems like the Canadian government is very performative. They want to talk about, racial issues from 300 years ago. They're very big on their climate objective, like anything that could be
That's just
considered.
All that's out the window.
That's just distractions.
Yeah.
There's no reason.
Because if there's actual global warming, if there is actual climate
They
change,
don't do
right?
anything for the natives. We still have.
Yeah, they don't even have clean drinking water.
Yeah, dude.
You
You guys
guys
still have
treat
no drinking
the
water.
native population much better here. What I've noticed
Well, you
is
guys
that
call them First Nations, right?
First Nations, Native First Nations,
depends on
Indigenous
who- yeah.
peoples, Aboriginal, many different terms. But here I've noticed that you go to some certain communities, like let's say North Carolina, for instance, or anywhere in the Midwest, they have communities that they're in business. They have casinos. They're actually allowed to make some money and produce, you know what I mean, and do their thing. There's things that I don't understand, right? But from what I see, America treats their indigenous population differently than Canada. Canada is all talk, no action. They have the indigenous committees that they come and they study and they put money towards it, but they don't actually do anything. They still don't have clean drinking water, and their communities are in constant decline.
How can they not have clean drinking water? Half of your continent is ice.
It's true. Water
That's a good
everywhere,
point.
not a drop to drink, right?
That's a good point. That's what we keep
It's true.
asking the governments, but they don't do anything.
Because of where they put them, right? And then some of these communities are so remote, right? That if it's not being properly maintained, it's hard to just like travel, right? So
They're very remote.
They're very remote.
You guys, your native communities are like on the way to a big city.
and this is
you're detouring for 20 hours to get
Oh,
to ours.
20
yeah.
hours.
Oh yeah,
Canada is huge, man.
dude.
Like,
We've got our entire population is right at the southern.
We hope you're doing well out there.
dude. It's a different world, man.
Yeah.
You're middle of nowhere. You have nothing, so you're totally reliant. There's like one grocery store, if that, could be like a gas station that sells groceries.
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of like you're limited. It's hard to get resources there. So there are challenges, but nobody's put the amount of money that they're taking out of their land. There's no reason for them to not invest that into their land and give them proper amenities.
Absolutely.
So they're raping their land like crazy, taking all the resources, but they don't give anything back to them. They pretend
it's not smart business.
They pretend they'll give them we'll give you this. They'll give the government a little bit of money, but it's not really.
It's very annoying, to
It's
be honest
not.
with you.
It's not. And then you're putting it in the hands of people that are a lot of times not competent to be able to be in that position. They don't know what to do with it. Influence, all this
Yes,
other stuff.
that's correct.
So it's all mismanaged. So, and they want it to be mismanaged because then they run out of money and they go, oh yeah, we need your resources again. So then they give them a shit deal and they take more.
and then they get to push the agenda of making people not proud of their country, because they teach it in schools that like there's nothing to be proud of here because this is stolen land and Canada doesn't have a history. Canada doesn't have a culture. They push this in schools for many, many, many years. And I know this because I went back to school recently, so I can see what they're currently teaching people. It's been going on for a while. And so now this is funny to me. Now all of a sudden, because of this trade war, we're supposed to be Team Canada and so proud of who we are. But like these things have been under assault for a very long time. Trudeau said Canada is what was the word he said? He said it's a post-national country. Like this is basically the end. Like I forgot what he said precisely, but he said we're a post-national society, meaning like Canada is basically over. We're not a real country. This is what he declared in 2015. This is what he said.
Okay.
This is exactly what he said.
Well,
But trust me, one thing I don't do, I always make sure that when I say things, and this is what I do on my, I back up everything. Like I make sure there's sources.
So he said that we're a post-national country.
Yeah,
like
I
we're
can
not
actually.
going to be.
Do you want to see if you can pull it up, Sam?
I'm very curious about this.
Trudeau said that Canada is a post-national nation or a post-national country.
Which is fascinating to me because of how protectionist the Canadian government is about Canadian culture and access to Canada. Like, just for laughs, there's only a certain amount of non-Canadians allowed to perform in that. If you want to be on TV in Canada, you have to be directed or funded by Canadians, right? Like the culture, the tariffs for American
Yeah.
goods going into Canada right now are insane. Like American cheese that's made in Wisconsin has a 300% tax to go across the border to go to Ontario.
So there's
right?
already
it's like-
tariffs that Canada has
Well,
on American products?
Yeah,
Is that what I'm hearing?
yeah.
they're
but
already
that's-
they're massive, especially our dairy and our energy
Well,
products.
that's energy. I think is just because we have all the energy. We have a lot of energy to sell to you. But the other stuff, it's kind of to protect Canadian businesses because you guys are so huge. Your farmers are mass producing in an insane amount, so your cost definitely comes down. Dairy in Canada is controlled by the government, so it is a controlled price. No, the price 100%. The prices are controlled, but they did that. I'm not saying it's great, but I understand the reason why they did that was to be able to help farmers and to set the price at a certain level,
Sure.
so that they make sure there's not overproduction. Because if America just comes in and starts selling it, dairy farmers in Canada are
Yeah,
done.
but the Canadians have a lot of money, man. They can compete just as easily. You got
No,
you
our
want the market
population
to.
isn't big enough. So we don't have enough. You know, when you mass produce, you bring the cost down.
Sure, yeah.
So because we have a small population, it's hard. We're in a weird place. Like you guys can almost just self-sustain yourself in a lot of ways because you're so big. Your country, you guys will buy enough stuff to sustain your economy.
Well, each state is its own country, really,
Right,
I mean, so
exactly.
like we are
Exactly.
we
We
were supposed
need
to be
the
that way. It
whole-
was a federalist,
We need
You
the
have your
entire
10 provinces,
country.
right?
Yeah. We need all of them.
Can those provinces sustain themselves individually?
Can they? Most of them. I think there's a handful of them that are in deficit, but the other ones help each. That's what we do in Canada. Is you pay to the federal government. Every province pays their federal taxes, and then the government gives it. The federal government gives
Your
it back
parliamentary system
to
sounds like the
provinces.
mafia to me.
It's hey man. Well,
It
you
really
need
does.
some
I
sort
mean-
of. It's organization, and the mafia is organized crime, dude. It's organized. Whatever it is organization of a government. You
Yeah.
need some. There's not
Give
bad
your money to the
things.
government. The government will tell you what.
Well, listen, you know what's good about it? Here, I'll give you an example.
Sure.
You guys have, so like your schooling system, it's based off of the wealth of the neighborhood it's in or the state that it's in, right?
Yep.
So that doesn't exist in Canada. In Canada, because.
Shouldn't exist in America either.
Right, exactly. But that's where you got to see there are things that are good
No,
in
the
that
government
sense.
should have nothing to do with education at all.
Well, I
In my
get, okay, dude, forget it. There's going to be always somebody that's going to influence in some way. So you need some boundary of going,
Especially
someone
when you
has
don't
to
have
be,
guns to
the
tell
whole
them otherwise.
idea of government was the democracy is it's the people who get to vote in the people into power. So if you feel that they're not representing the people, you vote them out. But
Every 4 years, yeah.
Today, with the day and age, we're so into marketing and social media and everything. It's easy to be a bullshitter and get by and market yourself as a great person, and you end up being a crook. So the problem is now it's too easy to manipulate democracy.
So you think, and I feel you got the quote, but so just to kind of surmise, you think the system in Canada isn't the issue, but the people are.
The people running it are too corrupted,
system
and they're
is-
too. No, the system,
good.
if it works,
tell you, bro.
honestly, the Canadian system, the way it's set up, if it works, if it's honest, it's. Everyone has always said this, one of the best countries in the world. Because our system is set up very well. The problem is it got corrupted by too many people that are and outside influence. So now you've just compromised what it was set up to do. So like I was saying, in our country, because you give your money to the federal government, they allocate it evenly to make sure if that province is in a deficit, we give them more money so that they can have better schooling systems, equal schooling systems, equal services as the rest of the country. So if it's done right, it's perfect because everyone gets the same education, whether you're rich or you're poor. So you're not marginalizing poor people and they stay dumb because their taxes aren't high enough. They don't make enough money to be able to pay the schooling system in that district. That's, to me, is bullshit. Because now you know how many kids are brilliant, but they're from a poor family, so they can't go to a good school and they're just screwed out of life? That's not fair. So if the way it's set up in Canada, it is a great system. We just need to overhaul it. We need to get the people that are there screwing shit up, greedy, taking the money, taking the tax dollars, giving it to their friend for their big corporation that they're going to build the whole contract, put their money in their pocket after they finish the contract.
And who are these people you think?
Politicians, dude.
Like any particular person?
Dude, there's so many. You can Google Canada news and how much bullshit we've had with money coming out of the government and going into politicians' pockets all day long. We even have, I mean, you got CBC, you got
The employment minister
Fifth
had to step
Estate,
down.
you got W10.
Who had to step down?
So
W5. You got a bunch of like news networks. Honestly, tell you the truth, up until this last 7 to 10 years, the news network, they were coming up with some real good shit, man. Dude, there was so much. Global News came out with like China infiltrating our politicians in British Columbia a decade ago. You know, and this is stuff the government was able to know, but they just kept their mouth, like they just played blind, like they didn't see it. The news was telling you, dude, we can see it. It's on, you know, they mapped it out, dude. The Chinese gangs were coming, they were cleaning money in the BC casinos. And the guy in charge, the manager of the security, went to the government and went to his higher ups to tell them, this is what's going on. I see people rolling in with cash, cleaning money all day long. They just pushed him out. So the thing is there's too many.
They pushed him out.
They
the
pushed him out of his.
whistleblower.
Yeah, they pushed him out. So they make you feel stupid. That's a good thing with Canada. It's like when you start nowadays, when you start blowing whistles, you start telling people, they just dismiss you. I mean, it happens with everything here too. It's like you just dismiss them as crazy or stupid, push them out, and then you keep going. So Canada's got a real problem now with a lot of that, and that's our biggest issue is getting the corruption out of governments. And you'll clean up a lot, man. We pay so much taxes. Why the hell? Why the hell are the roads shit? Why are all these things like? We should have the nicest place. It is. There's nice areas, but there's a lot of it's being stolen and taken. And now, like for our education, we're losing education.
Well,
too.
this is my worldview: is government will always end up in avarice and corruption, and that's why you have to limit it. But you were talking about.
So let's go back to Justin Trudeau here. So this is the source is Guardian. The Guardian. The Prime Minister Justin Trudeau articulated when he told the New York Times Magazine that Canada could be the first post-national state. He said there is no core identity, no mainstream in Canada. This is what Justin Trudeau said.
Okay, I see what
and
you're
so,
saying.
So there's that. So
yeah,
that,
he means.
So that's the first thing. Sorry, let
Yeah.
me just finish. And then the second thing is Randy Boissonnault is the name of the employment minister. He had to step down because he was faking that he was embezzling money from the government that was supposed to be given to Indigenous communities. He said that he was Indigenous. He lied. He took the money, and he also.
He's your Liz Warren.
Yeah.
We got one of those. Pocahontas.
Exactly. I thought about that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he also was in bed with somebody who got busted for 6 kilograms of cocaine. He shared the same mailbox with her in Edmonton. So a separate issue was brought up.
Oh, well, at least that guy's cool.
Massive corruption straight from the top of the government. So yeah, that's basically just two names from there.
I always thought it would be hilarious if Trump sent Elizabeth Warren to take the Panama Canal back, like have our Indian senator Indian give the Panama Canal. Like, do you guys know what Indian giving is? Because you don't call them Indians up there.
we know.
Indian giving is like, I got this beer for Phil before, but he didn't drink
That's
it.
right.
So
It's mine
guess
now.
what?
Taking
Take
that back. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here you want an example of politicians taking money from outside. I mean, our own prime minister.
Sure.
Yeah.
Funneled money from a businessman from China who works with the government, gave his father's foundation, I don't know, like $100 and something thousand dollars, funneled it through his father's foundation.
Now, Pierre
That's right.
Poilievre, my understanding is he's supposed to be a very popular prime minister. He's supposed
like
to have
him.
done a good job.
Here, you want me to give you another one?
Please.
So during COVID, the We charity. During COVID, they gave it was just like a free for all. Dude, there was a ton of companies that just got free money. They gave them, was it $500 million?
Yeah.
Was just to run
Canadian
like social.
dollars?
Yes,
I don't know the exact number, but it was something huge
social
like that.
Like
programs.
$75,
Or,
$80 US or.
listen,
It's not the yen yet.
I love that. It's funny. You're the Canadian patriot, but every time I needle Canada, I can feel his shoulders getting a little higher.
fuck, dude.
It's walking. It's like every time
No, but that-
I live in Florida, and every time somebody talks shit about Jersey, I'm like, hey, listen, okay? You don't understand. It's a great place. You don't understand. All right? You don't get this. I get to say that. You don't get to say that.
You're getting a full Canadian experience here.
Oh, dude, I love it. You know,
Yeah.
it's just, I guess the thing is, man, like, you guys are a Western country. You guys are awesome. Everybody I've ever met from there is awesome. You guys give us hockey. How cool is that? I don't like that there's no free speech. That I don't like. And the bureaucracy feels too European. It feels almost like a threat.
By the way,
those are the things
by
I
the
don't
way,
like.
the only
The
reason
control
It's
is what
very
I don't
controlled,
like. I don't
dude.
like
I
that.
feel just going back to Canada, living
Yeah.
in Florida, where you could do whatever the fuck you want.
Straight up.
When
I
you go
smoke
when
in
you
a
go
bar,
to,
like, what?
dude.
I
When
got
you go
a
to
gator
Canada,
crazy.
blowing meth in that room right there.
That's amazing.
when I go to
I've
Canada,
been looking
I'm
for a
like,
gator the whole time.
But again, New York's like that. You guys are very similar in New York,
Yep.
right? New York is like that too. You drive on the road, there's cops everywhere,
Yeah.
fucking bushes trying to catch you going to. It's like, man, like you feel like you're in a weird police state.
That's
where
the sad thing about
can't just
progressives.
live.
The sad thing about progressives are they don't think the rules apply to them, and they'll never admit this. But in New York, right, they love all those rules,
Right.
True.
because they don't ever think they'll follow them at all. Like you hang out with these rich yuppie progressives, and they're like, oh, they're fucking crazies in Florida while they're ripping open drugs, and while one of them's got a gun, and like, because they know if shit goes left, their dad will just post bail,
Right.
Yeah.
right? So like they don't care.
It's true.
That there is
Hypocrites.
this. Well, it's not this. It's
They don't really need to care.
they don't
need to pay
care.
Attention.
I call them over there progressives. They're like,
Right.
what? Bail is racist, and it's like, well, the guy who got arrested at 8:00 in the morning, pushing somebody in front of a train, just pushed somebody in front of a train at 7. Like, we should be able to keep them, like, at least cool them off for 24 hours, right? No. And you live here in the city? No, I live in Westchester. And if this guy was walking around the streets of Westchester, you'd still think bail was racist?
Yeah.
You fucking not.
Yeah. No, definitely.
You know
I
what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
that's
100%,
the
dude.
progressive that I did comedy with in New York forever.
Yeah.
That's the progressive that I rail against. This is the Democrat I ended up hating. The person that goes nuts about, there should be open borders. And I'm like, you live in a gated fucking community.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. With
100%.
police,
You
to
shut
argue
up.
with guns.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Or
I
you gotta
can't.
let the immigrants stay and be nice, and you're gentrifying their neighborhoods, dude. Like they live there.
Yeah.
And now you're moving in and raising the rent. They
How-
gotta live on the street.
How many of them
True.
are you going to let into your duplex?
Yeah, right. And they're not gonna. Dude, it's so fake.
Yeah,
It's
true.
That's
Can't
what I
handle it.
can't stand. This. Yeah, this whole.
I'm a
bullshit.
very literal guy when it comes to, like, I want to know what the rules are. I'm a dumb jock. I'm an athlete. Tell me where the end zone is. Tell me where the sidelines are.
Now, do you
And
think,
then I'll play the
do you
game within
think-
those rules.
Do you think Trump is? I know now he's been completely reversing all of this.
Yeah.
Do you think that will trickle into the rest of society? Like, I mean, even because what
It's already changed
feels like
Canada
it
big time.
started with Biden, a lot of it, and it pushed onto Canada's got. Now we're so far gone with this like progressiveness. It's crazy.
Can I just say that Trump has already liberated Canada, and I'll tell you why. Because if it wasn't for him putting the pressure on with these tariffs, Trudeau wouldn't have resigned, and all of the bills that were making their way through Parliament have all been stopped. Mainly Bill C-63, which is the worst bill that's ever been introduced in Canada. It's the most draconian, most tyrannical. They were looking at throwing people in jail for life and redefining what hate speech means. So people like me who make videos, I could be run to a secret court, and I don't have to face my accusers. I can be charged $70,000 and thrown in jail for life for something that somebody perceives as hate. Police coming to my door, and you can say I'm very pissed off about this.
Is this true? This is a
Called
secret
Bill
tribunal? Really?
Yeah, Bill C-63. And it was their number one priority, and they were about to pass it this year, just like they passed the Online News Act, where Canadians can no longer get news online, and
Yeah,
and then they
it's very
just like they
controlled.
passed, they've passed,
Super controlled. Our
all of
narratives
these, all of these bills have been passed, and because Trudeau had to resign due to Trump's tariff threat. It now stopped the threat of that bill. So for me, that's a huge win, because that was something that I was very, very concerned about. I was actually going to move to the state. Well, I'm probably most likely going to still anyways. But I was definitely, that was going to be the one thing. If that bill passed, I was definitely going to come down here, because that's pertinent to me. And then police will be coming to my door, knocking on my door. Excuse me, Mr. Romain, star on Promain show. Do you know that you offended this person? It's what's happening right now in Britain. Police going to people's doors for things they say online. If you come to my door for something I say online, there's going to be a fight. And I'm going to go to jail.
Sure.
And I will gladly take that. But, sorry, babe. Trump is absolutely responsible for us no longer being under that massive threat. So that's what I'm happy about.
Well, that's an incredible guillotine to put over the top of any sort of creative. That if somebody in power doesn't like what you're doing, they can put you in jail. I mean, that's
Absolutely.
I mean, that's French Revolution shit.
Exactly.
It's kind of like a Lenny Bruce, right?
Sure, happened here, absolutely. And that, honestly, I mean, that's why I kind of feel the way about comedy that I do. Is if you got into comedy for the clout, you did it wrong. If you got in for the money, you definitely did it wrong. I hold this art at such a high regard that like you should use whatever time you have on stage to say something, right, and to be provocative and to definitely go after power. And that was one of the things that really pissed me off about doing the New York comedy, especially during the early Trump years, where it became very clear that the people that were getting booked and the people that were getting their career moving forward, they were propagandists. They were on message for white men are evil, Trump's horrible. And I'm like, okay, but where's the punchline?
Yeah.
Like, I don't have
It's
to
not
agree
funny.
with you, but like, where's the joke? You know what I'm
They
saying?
do a
Like,
shoulder shrug
yeah, like, oh,
after they say white men are evil.
have you ever dated a black guy? Huh? It's like, yeah, dude, like, what is this, 1960? People fuck black people all the time. Like, what is, like, you want to really get your dad mad? Like, bring home a fucking, bring home a Republican if you really want to piss off
It's
your father
true,
in LA,
man.
right? Like,
It's true.
hey, this is Todd. His dad has a membership at the country club. How am I supposed to live out here? Now, I got people. Like, it's nuts, man. Like,
Conservative is the new coming out gay.
dude, when
man.
I saw conservatism in America as the new punk rock, I was like, fucking Democrats have fumbled the fucking
They did.
bag.
They used to be the ones for that.
Yeah, but also conservatism, it's not conservative at all. It's popular, but that we can go on for a whole nother hour.
True.
To talk about what I think about Trump. All right, I'll circle back to that because that's a great question, and I do have mixed feelings about it. But now, to piggyback off his head first, you do live in America.
I do live in America.
And now you have had the juxtaposition. And not only do you live in America, you live in like America. You live in Florida, right? So you've seen it from the other side.
Right.
Is it more difficult when you go home to kind of live under that sort of, I don't know, is it scrutiny? How would you call it?
I feel the stress of everybody living under it.
Really?
Like you could totally feel it. Like,
but I bet you the people, sorry to cut you off, but I bet you the people that live there think you've gone nuts.
100%.
Odd how that works, right?
100%.
Yeah, they're like, fuck it, he's lost his mind.
100%.
And you're sitting here going like, it's almost Stockholm syndrome, right?
Insane.
It's like,
yeah, it feels super weird. I don't know. I don't get it. It's like it's because you're living under I get it. It's because I live in a place where you could do so much of whatever the hell you want to do, almost whatever you want, whatever you want to think about, whatever I want to say on stage, I say it. And if it's funny, they're going to laugh. It doesn't matter. They're not going to think twice about what you're saying. Dude, I went back and last year I did a comedy festival. It was the longest time. Like, I went back after COVID. I went back and I was on stage doing shows, and a woman came up to me crying, and I'm like, I'm in Canada for sure. Like,
she came up crying because of a joke you made?
Because of my jokes.
I can't stand that.
Literally crying and telling
comedy.
me that you shouldn't be doing, you're spread what you're saying, you're hurting our country.
I'm telling you,
I'm
comedy
like, are
is-
you insane? Are you
Comedy
nuts?
has become one of the final frontiers of the battle of free
Dude,
speech.
turkeys
It's
were
crazy.
$75 in the grocery store. And she's crying about a fucking joke. I'm like,
Yeah.
are you kidding me?
No, because you're the danger to the world. You are the you are the enemy.
But it's because the news tells you don't say those things, or like Canada's like, so like I can't, like, it's hard for me to deal with them because I'm like, you guys gotta fucking stop being so controlled, man. Like, you don't see it.
and you're a Canadian through and through. You're a very proud Canadian. You're a Canadian.
It's weird because when I moved here, I'd meet Canadians that were like, dude, Canada's controlled and and I was like, you're so unpatriotic. How dare you turn on us? And then I live here for like a year and I go, holy shit. And I go back and I'm like, yo, you guys are worried about every goddamn thing under the sun, and you're so like the environment and everything's gonna crumble, and you got to do all. And it's like it's you're the one doing it. So everyone's like nervous, like, oh no, you put it in the right bin.
Are they doing it for clout? Are they doing it for social?
Because it's a lot of
question.
you get shamed. You get shamed nowadays. Everything's social media shaming and all that. So you got to make sure you're good and you're nice. And Canadians generally just want to be good and nice. So if you're like, hey, do this, it's good and nice, you're like, all right, I'll do it.
See, I love going against that. I love being
it's
shamed.
a very
It's weird.
well. It used to be good because we used to have decent values where you go. It's a
remember
great
that?
idea. We should do that.
Speaking of freedom, I'm here to free you from useless fees and wasted time at the pharmacy and doctor's office. If you are sick, if you're feeling the sniffles about yourself, maybe your hair's going bald. I don't know. Maybe you want to lose some weight. You got that whole little Zempic thing going on. You can go to telyrx.com. That's TELYRX.com and get 20% off your order today if you use the code SNT at checkout. telyrx.com, TELYRX.com. Use code SNT at checkout for 20% off. Regrow your hair, lose a couple pounds, and hey, take care of the herp without anybody knowing about it. That's telyrx.com. So guys, we're back from our pee breaks, and we were talking about the freedom. I always took freedom for granted, frankly, before COVID. It's been ingrained in us, America, land of the free, home of the brave. We love freedom, we love freedom, we love freedom. Yeah. Until somebody actually tried to take it away, and then it turned out, man, a lot of people do not love freedom. Yeah. And there's a stratification between the people that do and don't. And it seems like the people that do literally can't live without it. And the people that don't give a shit about it. Yeah. And I think what happened is a balkanization. We saw a lot of people, myself, people from New York, New Jersey, moving down to Florida. Mm-hmm. We're here in Florida now. You guys are both Canadians. Do you see that amplifying in the future? Do you see government holding on tighter? Or do you think Poilievre, if he is going to take control? Again, we got to circle back to the parliamentary politics. I don't know how it works. Do Canadians care about freedom, or the people that want freedom of speech and do care about freedom, or even worse, people that have had a taste of freedom and there's no going back after you felt it? There's no going back. Are they just going to have to leave? Or are they going to have to repopulate in Florida and be expatriates?
So I really love history, and something I usually say on my channel and what I believe in is that North America will not fall, right? I know a lot of people like to compare it to the Roman Empire, and all great empires fall, but I think we've been very unique, and Canada and America really have very similar values when it comes to that. Canadians haven't been so willing to fight for it recently, but when the shit hits the fan, when it's a World War I or World War II or a Korean War or whatever war, we fight together, and we share the same land. So I always say North America will not fall. I said it when times were dark, you know what I mean? I always said it when people said, like, yeah, we are going to fall. The globalists have this planned out. Trump can't win, or Poilievre can't win. But what happens here, and the beauty of our two governments really, is that the guy's only got 4 or 5 years, and you vote him out. That's the beauty of our system, right? Now, the danger is when elections start to become rigged or stolen, right?
It's 4 years?
4 years, yeah.
So how did he get to 15?
You can
just keep
there's
going?
no limit.
In Canada, you can have longer
as long as
than
you
8
keep
years.
getting voted in.
You can keep
stay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but the thing about Canadian elections is they are very, very secure, and I know because I worked in 2015 when Trudeau was elected. I worked in like the third highest position there. That was part of one of the offices, right?
Now we know how. We know how he was elected.
So, and I saw
inside job, buddy.
I got him elected. Yes, it was me. Yeah, and I saw how secure it was.
The podcast is a nice front, buddy. The YouTube channel is a nice front.
The truth about Promain show. Yeah, and so it's very, very secure. It's all written on ballots and everything. It's no machines, no digital, So but Trudeau has tried to change it, and he said his biggest regret was not changing the elections. And they even tried this year, but Elections Canada said we're not doing this year. So they really
Change
did
it
try.
for what?
They wanted to increase the voting from 1 day to 3 days. They wanted to increase the amount of polling stations that you could go to within your neighborhood.
Jeez,
they wanted to, increase mail.
So they want fraud.
Exactly. Fraud. Everything that they were proposing, they say it's for better voting rights, but it really is less secure in every way. So we were spared because that just didn't pass because, there's so many other things that Trudeau did a lot of damage, But sorry, before I get too off topic there, I think that
we could just vote on our phones, by the way, people. Like every time.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Every single time I go to look at my bank looks at me and says, "Oh, you're Gerard," and then I go to my bank. Like the same technology.
Right.
Could be used to just vote, swipe left, swipe right.
Right.
So they don't give a shit about access to voting. Like, let's just
right.
Exactly. They don't. It's all bullshit. But we saw that Canadians cared and are willing to fight when the trucker protests happened. I think that shocked the world because people always like Canadians are so nice. I think that people were surprised to see the truckers do that, and then that caught on.
Forgive me, I understand, and you're talking about the Korean War and everything, and I totally get it. It seems like externally nobody is saying Canadians aren't tough, but internally it seems like they don't value or care about personal freedom.
And I agree with you on that. But I think that when it really hits the fan,
Different. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I think that when it really hits the fan, like Pierre's ahead by 20% for a reason. The other party had their turn. He's going to come in now, and I think that we're going to have conservative North America. You have Trudeau's gone. The left has more or less crumbled for now, but there's also a danger on our side from that. Right? We can become too overconfident, and then we could also fall victim to what the left did, which was going too far left. Right. So I think that the best place to be is really kind of in the center, right? But
well, always. I mean, I'm like in America, and I want to get your opinion on this, Abdul. But in America, I never wanted the Democratic Party to be abolished or to be this meek and horrible. Like the Democratic Party is, it's shameful what the Democratic Party is. I just wanted them to learn their lesson and put America first. Like
That's right.
Like I grew up in an America where, my mom was a Democrat and my dad was a Republican.
My mom's a liberal.
And I never once, like any Democrat I grew up around, I never once for a second thought that they weren't an American.
Yeah.
Where now it's so very clear that the modern Democrat Party are people that hate America or they just hate white people or whatever it is. And that's
Do you think they hate America?
I do. I think that there's
I think they have a different idea of America.
No, I think that there's a shameful
I understand
aspect of it. I think that I think that they've weaponized a certain level of affluent shame, of white guilt, and I think that there is this idea that, and again, this could be a whole nother podcast, but there's something called the Frankfurt School. Are you familiar with the Frankfurt School at all?
No. Explain,
No.
please.
Okay, so I'm going to do this as quickly as possible. So the Frankfurt School was a group of Marxists that came from the Fabian Society in Britain, actually, where these academics, mostly academics and rich kids, tried to ascertain why communist revolution was able to take hold in Russia, but it wasn't able to take hold in the rest of Europe the way that they thought Russia was going to be the first domino that falled for this great proletariat revolution, the workers of the world unite. And it didn't. It stopped cold outside of Russia, and they didn't know why. And then these really smart people got together, and they said, well, humans are not conditioned for revolution. Humans are conditioned for conservatism. Like, oh yeah, things could be better, but things could be worse. So I'm going to let's everybody calm down.
Humans don't like change.
Correct. Precisely. So what the Frankfurt School endeavored to do was figure out how they could, as quickly as possible, destabilize environments to make people ready for change. Okay. And what it manifested itself most perfectly in China's Cultural Revolution, which is the Four Olds. You get rid of the founding fathers of a place. You do character assassinations on them. You get rid of culture. You get rid of religion, and you get rid of financial security. Right. If you go after those four things, hey, George Washington, you think he's your founding father? Well, he actually was a slave owner. So everything he did was rip the statues down. That's right. Make the economy, some would say Canada, for example, right? Oh, you guys like this capitalist democracy you guys are in? Well, you can't afford a house and your job doesn't pay you, so what's the point? And that's it's destabilization tactics.
Yep.
That's
exactly what's been happening.
That they actively try to do. In their minds, again, to go to our what the hell was that? To go to our conversation. The CIA is breaking in. To go to the conversations that we had before the show started. The people that are doing this don't think that they're the bad guy. They're convinced they're the good guy. So yeah, look, we got to break a couple eggs, but man, that 15-minute city, it's going to be so much better, you guys. It's going to be
True
great.
evil believes that it's good.
Of course.
Lucifer is the good guy, the angel
Well,
of light.
also, look, we have to be humble in our assessment, our self-assessment, and say, hey, do they have a point? People that are going nuts about no energy tomorrow, no gas. How much gas is the right amount of gas? No gas. It's killing the environment. Okay. So how many human beings are allowed to die of cold and hunger within the next month to make it worthwhile? Well, I don't care, because if we don't save the earth, every human's going to die. And that's how they think.
Yeah.
And now that person to me is the most dangerous person on earth.
Yeah, because
that is who the left has accumulated in their academia, their academic
Well, they're just like
circles.
followers, is what
intelligentsia.
you're saying. They're just
Yeah.
followers. They'll do what they're told. They're
So
told
the
to tell you it's bad.
It's an obedience cult.
Right, they don't know if it's actually bad.
But those are the most dangerous people on earth to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Those are the people that are dangerous, right? So
Yeah, that's
once you've had freedom, it's impossible to not have freedom. The point that you were saying before about I will fight the cops, I'm the same way. I used to have this conversation with my ex a lot, and I would mess with her. She was a Democrat, New York Democrat, and I would say the biggest problem with you liberal white women is you confuse the difference between shouldn't and can't. You can't get over shouldn't versus can't. Should I do this? No, I probably shouldn't. If I can't do this, well, there's a binary. There's a yes and a no. You tell me I can't do something, I could either stop doing it or I could say, or else what? And that's where they lose you, because that or else what is a man with a gun points the gun at me and threatens to kidnap me unless I stop what I'm doing. So now I either got to let that man kidnap me or I point a gun back. And now all this is happening over a speed limit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
But
so
you're white. Aren't you guys supposed to say, I need to talk to my attorney? You don't fight the cops.
dude, this is the funniest part about this whole like white privilege thing too, man. Is like everybody, like, it was just anti-Semitism from the beginning. like, do you think, oh, the white people own all the real estate? Oh yeah, you talking about the Irish? you talk about the Italians? Which one of the whites?
Well, the Italians and Irish have they got a lot of real estate.
You talk about the Ukrainians or the Polish?
Ukrainians,
All those white people that don't season their food. Oh yeah, you talk about the French, the Portuguese. I feel like you guys are talking about a very specific group of white people here. You're talking about either the British or the Israelis. That's it. Like.
But that's part of the whole the communism thing you're talking about, was the divide by race, and they always saw that was our weakness in North America was the races that were here. So that was always the plan, was to create that wedge. You know what I mean?
Well, understanding what Marxism is a very, very, very difficult thing for a lot of people, man. Because when you say that we're living through, and this is to circle back to your Trump thing, very long. I think that our society was at a precipice that they had no idea that they were about to go over. Yeah. Western society was about to commit suicide.
Yeah.
Through avarice, corruption, and this idea that we were going to be so nice that we allowed our society to implode. I don't want to be seen as a racist. I don't want to be seen as a misogynist. I don't want mean tweets. So steal everything.
Yeah.
No. Right. So we were so close. Elon Musk buying Twitter is one of the most.
That was a big.
But, and everybody looks at Elon Musk as God. I think Elon Musk did it for corporate espionage.
Yeah.
$44 billion to read the DMs of all of your competitors. That's the cheapest acquisition price of all time. Yeah. But I also don't give a shit about motive. I am an outcome guy. I don't care. Ronald McDonald House, it uses all those donations as a tax write-off. I don't give a shit. Did they build houses for the homeless or not? Who cares?
Outcomes.
Like, who cares? Like, this idea that everything has to be altruistic at all times.
Yes.
The road to hell is paved in gold, and we saw that with Obama. Said all the right things, did all the wrong things.
Yes.
And this concept of like we're supposed to judge him for his intentions and not his outcomes. Go fuck yourself.
It's all about actions, man.
Don't fuck. Like, if he was robbing you, and I went to punch him in the face, but he ducked, and I knocked out 3 of your teeth. It's not like, oh, well, you tried to do the right thing. It's like, hey, fucking land the punch, man. Like, what the fuck? Like,
I wouldn't hold it against you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, guys, I'm so sick of this judgment of intentions. I'm so sick of this concept. You saw it in LA with the fires where they did DEI, and it was like, imagine you're burning to death and a white guy wants to save you. And it's like, no, I need a lesbian of color. No, I'm not. I won't be part of this patriarchal system. It's like, fucking let me carry you out of the fire, you fucking retard, and then we can try to fix society, all right? I'm done with it, and I think so many people are done with it.
Yeah.
And having my time spent in government, I will tell you, power attracts the worst and corrupts the best.
Wow.
That is why we have to make it as small as possible. Because for all the good it could do, it always defaults to bad. So making even what's happening right now, if the Trump administration, it's actually the best thing in the world that the 2020 election got stolen. And it was stolen. Don, you're going to have to fucking edit this with some beeps. But it was fucking, you'd have to be an 80 IQ to think that that election was on the up and up.
And they tried with this one,
the
too,
corpse
by the
of Joe Biden got 86 million fucking votes. He got 14 million votes more than Barack Obama. Are you out of your fucking mind? Anyway, I digress. So the best thing that happened was that. Because now they see where the pitfalls are. And I talked with a lot of people within the transition team, and they're pumped. And what they're most pumped about is they know where the traps are now. And you just saw Elon Musk and Doge. They found $52 billion of corruption in 2 weeks. Yeah. If they're able to do just 10% of what they actually are set out to do, it will be the biggest boon to the American people that has happened since 1912.
It's exciting.
It's going to be
exciting.
It's exciting
to see where this is going to go.
It's exciting because we've all known. We've had a tumor growing on our fucking country for years and years and years, right? But if you cut it open, you'd see it was Republicans and Democrats that were part of the cells.
That's right.
Yeah.
So nobody wanted. Now you have this coalition, which is all I ever wanted growing up, which is all we all wanted. Yeah. You got
JFK.
You've got RFK, you've got Tulsi Gabbard, you've got ex-Democrats. Tulsi Gabbard was the chairman of the DNC. Great. She wasn't like a fringe Democrat. She ran the party.
Yeah, she did.
And now you have a Republican president that wants her on his cabinet.
Dude, we're living
and not a single Democrat is going to vote to confirm her.
Isn't that insane?
Bernie Sanders, that fucking fraud.
Yeah.
She resigned. He's a fucking fraud, and he's a coward. That fucking guy is a coward. Holy shit. That fucking guy. Oh my, he was the king of fucking all.
He's an old man.
Did you see
go ahead.
Did you see RFK expose
He's
him?
a coward. What do you want to fucking drop
He's
his...
a fucking coward.
He's an old man.
Not once, but twice. That dude ran as an anti-establishment candidate twice.
Yeah.
Got completely railroaded by the establishment.
Right.
Documented that they rigged the election for Hillary Clinton. He was beating the shit out of Hillary Clinton in the 2016 primaries, which is also always hilarious to me that Democrats would never rig an election. They've rigged their last three primaries.
That was complete
They've
bullshit.
rigged their own elections with people they like. You don't think they'd rig an election against people they fucking hate? Are you out of your mind?
Treat your neighbor as you treat yourself.
Why is Bernie Sanders a coward then?
Because he took the money and fell in line.
Yeah.
They found out that the election, the primary was rigged against him. And he took payoffs, fell in line, supported the candidate that was rigging the election against him.
They paid him off to say that?
Did it not once but twice.
He got paid off?
Correct. Not once but twice.
There's evidence he got paid off.
Correct. He has three homes.
What do you get? He's got
three homes. He's a socialist worth $100 million.
They are the 1%
homes.
they rail against, right? They always talk about the 1%.
And it's so funny when people call him. Do you know how much he's donated to charity? He's donated less than 1% of his entire earnings for his career. Less than 1% over the course of a 40-year.
Frugal. He's
God
Jewish.
demands
Do you know what he says?
Calm down.
He's Jewish. I'm sorry,
He's
Canada.
frugal.
We can't handle this
bring the whole
anti-Semitism. You're going to have to take him back. With this anti-Semitism, I
like Bernie. I thought he was great. Listen,
is he Jewish?
So this is this is where you go with
Bernie Sanders.
Yeah,
this is dude. The thing is again, it's where you go. It's kind of like he's a little bit Canadian, where he wants good, but he knows ultimately if he doesn't play the game, he's gonna get completely wiped out. So he kind of plays a little bit. From what you're telling me, sounds like he's playing both sides to stay where he is, to try to. It's like
I never took $1 from anybody from pharmaceuticals.
And he did.
Okay, I took $1.5 million from people from pharmaceuticals, but not a CEO.
Million?
Okay, it was $800 million, but only $8 million was from CEOs. Shut the fuck up, you fucking coward, you liar, sellout.
The thing is like, yeah, I mean, dude, where do you go? I mean, like what we were saying, like the Canadian system, the way it's set up it's like if there is a good system. I like what you're saying, how less power is good, because I was even thinking about that today, about how Canada going through all these tariffs, all the provinces, all the leaders of all the provinces came together for once in a million years. They've always fucking bickered with each other, and kind of, I mean, Alberta's different, but for the most part, they all banded together and worked together to make Canada come up with some plan to fight their tariffs. Do we need a prime minister then? That's what I was thinking.
Oh, now we're getting there, baby.
Now you know what I mean?
Now
Like,
we're getting somewhere now, baby.
Do we need a prime minister?
Brother.
I mean, realistically, we don't need one guy in charge to overlook. We need all of them to have their own say.
Imagine if you did this in
Real
Canada.
democracy would.
Well, democracy, now I'm going to cancel myself. I don't believe in democracy. I think democracy is a bad system. I think it's stupid.
Yeah.
Mob rule is dumb.
Mobocracy.
A system that counts Honey Boo Boo's vote the same as Stephen Hawking's is a stupid fucking system. I'm sorry. I don't feel bad saying that. Like,
Well, America is not
I'm
a
done.
democracy, and neither is Canada.
Yeah, we're a republic. But
and constitutional monarchy in Canada.
You're a constitutional monarchy? You guys, that's right. You still
you guys
fucking
are
bend the knee to that
you guys
fucking
are-
that
Well, now you guys
flamer
want us to
over
bend
in
it to
Britain.
you, right?
You're,
You gotta bend it to someone.
Hey,
It's
if you
one
bend
of
the knee to us, you get fucking AK-47s, all
I
right? If
do like
if
that.
you bend the knee to the blood prints over there, you get fucking
The blood print.
yeah.
It's true.
Listen, man,
They don't even give us
Earl
free
Grey.
passports.
with your fucking plastic money. Look, he hates it. He hates Canada, but he's like, "What you gotta bring? What you gotta be an asshole?"
I don't hate. I love
No,
it.
you-
I
you
hate
really
the way
lo-
it's going.
You love Canada in the way that I love Jersey, in that I want it to get better. The same way I love
wanna see it
the same way I
succeed.
want
You're
to. Dude,
disappointed.
the Democratic
Fight for
Party.
it, man.
I rip on the Democratic Party because I'm like, you guys need to grow the fuck up. Somebody.
Right.
This
you're
idea.
disappointed in
Elon Musk comes out and he asks the director of our treasury to show him the payments, and the guy resigns instead of
Yeah.
giving him access to the payment
Yeah,
system.
it's
So
crazy.
so then
They're just falling
so
like
then Trump
dominoes.
gives them the access, and it turns out they've never said no, and they've never been audited. Anytime anybody's ever asked the United States government for any amount of money, he just said yes, and it's never been audited.
Yeah.
Never.
Oh
We
my
bought
gosh.
$50 million worth of condoms in Gaza.
Yeah,
like it's
I heard that story.
Fucking nuts, dude.
$50 million worth of condoms.
They've spent $100 million, dude.
yeah,
It's
that
insane.
they're using to make bombs with.
It's
that they're
insane.
using to make bombs with.
What they're doing with the money
I
is
didn't even know
that
you could do
yeah,
that.
it's
They're making
nuts.
bombs with condoms.
Hamas, yeah.
Which, we should learn that technology. Maybe it's worth the money. But the fact that it's never even been asked. And then the best part is AOC loses her mind. It was like, nobody voted for Elon Musk. And I'm like, nobody voted for the fucking director of the Treasury, bitch. Like this is when you catch your girlfriend cheating on the
I don't
phone.
like her.
And you look at her phone and she's like, you had no right to look at my phone. And you're like, who's Brad? She's like, you had no right to look at my phone. Yeah, you're right. Who's Brad? What the fuck?
Yeah, you're right.
Let's
Who's Brad?
get back to that.
Let's get back to Brad.
Yeah, I'm worried about Brad
Who
and
is
what's very
Brad?
clearly your asshole in this picture. So,
Gaping.
but you had no right to go through my phone. It's like, okay.
It's amazing what's happening.
What's happening?
It's amazing what's happening.
Yeah, dude.
It's almost too good to be true.
That's the part that I'm really pumped about. I'm pumped about accountability. I'm pumped about the fact that what's going to happen next is what I think is most exciting. And
Yeah.
what happens
we're not there yet.
What happens next is the rats leave the ship.
Yeah.
What happens next is the sweaty little fucking congressman that's been doing dirty
Weasels.
knows that, you know what? If I rat on the rest of them, I'll probably get off. And then
It's
we're
like
gonna
Facebook.
get the good stuff.
Yeah.
It's like
We're gonna get the
But-
good stuff when the first but some heads have to roll first.
Yeah,
Somebody has to go to jail. Right now they're all sitting there and Hillary Clinton's going, "Don't you fucking say a word.
Yeah.
Don't you say a word." And they're not gonna say a word because nothing's happening. But one of them, it's just gonna take one, gets pinched. One goes to jail. We got Menendez for 11 years, but nobody really liked him anyway. Let's get Fauci or maybe
Give
Fauci's
Russia Fauci.
Get Fauci's secretary and put Fauci's secretary in jail for 50 years because you can't get Fauci, but put Fauci's secretary in jail and then have all of these people's aides think that they're going to be on the hook for 50 years and be like, I have some things I'd like to say about what happened in the last 10 years, and that's going to be the cascading domino effect.
Okay, but do you think that's going to help American
Yes.
culture?
100%.
You think it'll help the society?
I
That
do.
They know that, yeah?
I think
You don't think it's going to crumble under the...
I think we're in for some pain. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I
agree.
I think we're in for some pain. I think
a lot of-
but I hope people realize they signed up for pain. We signed up for a fucking We signed up for a diet. We signed up for
it
a
would have
fucking.
been much more pain if
We
the
signed
Democrats
up.
They don't
won.
realize
We signed up for a fast.
great.
We got cancer, and we signed up for a fast.
Yeah.
Everybody say a fast sounds good when you're 12 beers in at midnight. You're like, I'm going on a
You
fast
see
tomorrow.
Selena Gomez crying?
Oh, yeah.
You guys are not ready for the
I love
pain.
that.
Oh, but
You guys are
No.
not.
No, she's
Dude,
not ready for the pain.
I
We
disagree.
haven't even
I
started
disagree.
yet.
She lasted an hour, and to Phil's point, fucking 10 years ago, that crying tirade that she did would have got her the cover of People magazine.
Oh, yeah.
Now
Oh, yeah.
the internet was like,
Right.
"Shut up, you dumb
Yeah,
bitch!
Yeah, I love it.
Why
I
don't
love
you
to
start
see
a
it.
company and get some fucking visas,
Yeah,
you
it's a-
fucking
it's-
stupid."
It's a
Beaner?
good point. Yeah, it's a good.
That was the internet, not me. Not me. I was looking at Selena like, man, you seem upset.
It's a
baby.
meme now.
You need a shoulder to cry on. We can work through this together, Selena.
No, it's a good point that you're making, because there's a lot of people that do want to see the change and want to see this. They want to see the
hope they
Selena
know what they
Gomez's
signed up for.
crime.
Yeah.
They do. It's just they're not all out there yet, because a lot of them are kind of like, I don't want to lose my job.
Outcomes.
I'm just kind of they're hanging in the shadows.
Yeah,
but
and they're also
so
ready.
fucking
They're
fed
also
up, too.
they also want to see this thing fail so bad. Like you
Yeah,
see these
they're-
idiots.
They do, yeah.
These idiots that are like, what about the price of eggs? It's like it's been 9 days.
been 9
You fucking you didn't
You're
didn't
right.
say anything about the price of eggs for 4 years.
Well,
and
what
now
about
Trump, you're like,
What about other
what the
things like the
tariffs
border?
are gonna raise prices? Like what the fucking?
He's
what?
already gotten so many results. Like with if you look at the chart, that chart's dropped off for illegal
nuts.
crossings already.
Dude,
it's
even
crazy.
Even Bill Maher had to come out and say like it's pretty obvious Democrats wanted an open border. Yeah. Because after
I love
2
Bill Maher,
days
by
the
the way.
border's closed.
Love
it's
Bill
like
Maher.
he's been good, man.
He's one of the good
But look,
Democrats.
comedy, like you said, comedy has always been about speaking truth to power.
Yeah.
I think you do a great job of that in your set, and you call out both sides. You're not by any. I wouldn't call you a conservative by any stretch. You're
Thank you.
you're a moderate for sure.
Thank you. I'm always
Yeah.
getting
That's great.
fucking yelled at.
That's
for
No,
great.
no, bro, I've
He's
seen-
like, I'm not
Always fucking yelling at
conservative.
No, I've seen you bench press. You're not a conservative, buddy. No, but also, look, man. But what a conservative and right wing. I just got yelled at about this in Austin because, I was like, Austin's very conservative, and people were like, no, it's not. It's very left. I was like, yeah, but all I keep seeing is keep Austin weird. Stop changing Austin. Save Thompson Park. I'm like, this is conservatism.
By
You guys
our
want to
standards.
conserve Austin as it is. We have to. And as quickly as possible, this would be the best thing to happen. We have to get rid of this left-right paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
Conservatism and liberalism are antiquated concepts and ideologies. What we have very clearly developing is national populism and globalism.
Yeah.
And those are the
Yes.
two things.
Yes,
Okay,
that's true.
And there's really no reason. I have no problem with Pierre. How do you say his name?
Pierre Polyev.
All right. I have no problem with Pepe Le Pew saying that they should put Canada first. That doesn't strike me as a bad thing at all. That's his job.
Yeah.
Right.
His job is to be the representative of you. And again, everything in this world circles in my dumb brain back to sports. I don't care if my left fielder wants to be the best version of himself.
That's a good one.
You know what I'm saying? If he goes out there and bats .330 with 40 home runs, that's good for the team. Like, I don't think that guy needs to be, well, I'm going to bunt because, it's good for everybody. No, hit the fucking ball out of the ballpark, dude.
Yeah.
Like go ahead. Do your fucking thing, man. Like, I think if we all understood that achievement and accountability are not bad things. Those are good things, and they're actually good for society.
Yeah.
I feel like something has happened with, and again, it's reductionist, but there's a very male-female vibe that's gone on. There's a very like hunter versus gatherer kind of thing that's happened over the last 10 years where it's like, we don't want mean tweets. Everybody just calm down. Everybody's nice. We're inclusive. Yeah, well, if the motherfucker doesn't hunt, he doesn't get to eat. And there is a certain level of that now over courses of time that gets bad too. I don't think, and I'm forgive me for filibustering here. It's good Canadian beer. This idea that politics are stagnant. as it always has to be conservative or Democrat or left or right. There are times where we need to be more aggressive. There are times where we need to be more insulated, more self-centered. And then once we have prosperity, well, then we can start taking a look at other things.
Absolutely.
Right? So there are always ebbs and flows of these things. But this concept of like we always have to be outward facing and like, what about the starving kids in Ghana? I don't know. They should fucking figure it out. Like we have starving kids in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't do anything about Ghana, no matter how much I want to march about it, if there's fucking people in my own town that need help. So fixing our own yards first, although it's painted in the media as being selfish, racist, misogynist, it is the best way to be a good global neighbor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I feel like if we have that kind of make America great again moment, make Canada great again moment, you'll have the type of prosperity that you need. You'll have the type of organization that you need to then be the good global neighbor.
Yeah, it's that whole concept of putting the oxygen mask on you first before you help someone in the plane, right?
Precisely.
And that's when we were at our best, like the 80s and 90s and all that stuff, that the whole, we were doing well, and then we would send people to missions and help those nations and do things that we could do.
That was Canada's role. America was still trampling them and blowing shit up. Canada was the one going there going, don't worry, we'll try and calm them down, just weather the pain for a little bit.
Sorry about him. He's really a great guy if you get to know him.
The commercials.
It's like, you gotta listen. That guy, look, I can see why you're mad. But like, really, have you heard country music? Just give it. I'm sorry.
Dude, I got to tell you, listen, I live in America. You guys are like, as a Canadian, you guys are misunderstood by Canadians very, very, very much.
What is the Canadian image of an American? That's
well,
interesting.
It's not even
What's
Canadian.
The stereotype?
It's like Europe. Everybody has a stereotype of America. You guys are just loud and fucking overbearing. You want everything. It's got to be me, right?
He's pretty bang on, eh?
You got to be fucking.
That's
It's
not what
all
I think,
about
though.
you,
but
right?
It's what a lot of Canadians think.
Like what you were saying about fixing your own shit. No, hear me out.
Feels very personal.
Hear me out.
Just
50%, dude. He
Just-
is.
wasn't enough.
just completely full of high fructose corn syrup.
He's the fucking he is Captain America. Right? Yeah.
Is that overbearing?
For real? Seriously?
Dude, it's just it's not
Handsome, not funny. Like
no,
nope,
none of
those.
Selfish, loud, always wanting to be the center of attention, needing to.
Damn, really?
He's hitting it very well. That's what a lot of Canadians think.
Is that
It's
is
not
that
what
for
I
real?
think, by the way, but it's what a lot of Canadians think. Yeah.
But listen, I live here. I gotta tell you, this is what I'm seeing on the ground as a Canadian, an outsider in your country. Americans are fucking awesome. You guys are really cool people. You're all like, your characters are fucking different. You're insane. I love the insanity. I love that you're outspoken. I love all that shit. The one thing I wish is like, because like you're saying, it's building your community first and taking care of each other. When I moved here, the first thing this woman told me at a bar, and she goes, when I told her I was Canadian, she goes, Canadians, you guys always look at how you can help someone else. You want to help someone else. In America, we go, how can I help myself? And I think that's the one little thing that if you guys like thought more, and it's sort of coming back with the Trump in a little bit, where you're like, we're all kind of united. Americans are feeling like you guys are all a thing again. But it's like, if you guys helped each other be fucking great, which you do because if someone has a business, you have a business, you support their business. So you guys do. But you kind of like don't really outgoingly do it.
Americans are very big on, I'll help the person that helps themselves. Meaning, if your car is broken down on the side of the road,
they'll reward you because you
big time.
If you got a business,
if I see you pushing, I will get out and push.
Yes.
If I see you sitting on that car going,
Waiting.
help me,
Yes.
be like, I hope you fucking die in a fire.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
So
you're right.
That's how we are for sure.
Yes. There's a middle ground that needs to be met because Canadians are too waiting for somebody to push the car. Not really in a lot. There's a lot of, it's a broad sense, but generally speaking, in the big cities, that's what it's like. Small towns, super relatable to Americans.
Sounds like your small
100%.
towns don't have the voice that they should have in their government.
Well, 100% no, because they're so tiny, they don't mean anything. The voting doesn't mean
You
anything.
guys don't have anything similar to an electoral college at all?
No, not at all. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't. I mean, yes. Well, in a sense, with your areas, you have areas
Go on.
with your MPs. So it does. It all does
an MP?
count.
An MP is a member of parliament, so we have about, I think, 338.
That's your congressman, basically?
Basically, yeah. So
no.
you have parliament, which is the House, and then the upper house is known as the Senate, just like you guys. So we have two.
Where's the one where they roast each other, which is
That's
hilarious?
Parliament. I
That's
love that.
hilarious.
That's one of my favorite things about Parliament is this.
But have you
question.
considered that the prime minister over there is a bitch?
Yeah, exactly. It's the best part about Canadian Parliament
But
is to
all
hold the
theater.
government to account.
It's
Yeah.
all theater. It's all like just a waste.
It is
time.
theater,
Yeah.
but I love it. I do love it.
Yeah,
Because imagine
Lately
Americans
it's been
Americans had that in Washington, where every day the opposition could question that your president had to go there every day and answer questions. Like that's
Yeah, we just
president's got
subtweet
stuff
each
to
other
do, though,
between
yeah.
Fox and
Right,
MSNBC.
that's exactly.
it is funny though.
That's
Yeah.
all we do.
That is-
Although hilarious, did you know fucking Biden
great.
only did 11 press conferences?
That's so
He had 9
crazy,
cabinet
dude.
meetings in 4. Dude,
I
he
think
was.
Trump did 11 last week.
Everybody's like, Trump's gonna ruin. Like, if you really thought the president mattered in America, you should have hired somebody that wasn't a fucking a Cabbage Patch Kid that shits himself 3 times a week. Like, I mean, like what are we talking? Trump's gonna ruin everything. The last guy had a fucking.
That's true.
The last guy was cogent 2 hours a fucking day, and he ran the country. So the beauty of what our founding fathers did, and this is the truth. There's something called the Federalist Papers that everybody in America should read. If you're going to come to America, you should read them. You should already read them, you lazy prick. So the Federalist Papers, it's the Twitter of the 18th century, and it's our founding fathers using pseudonyms, going back and forth, arguing with each other over how we should form this government. And they couldn't come together on it. And there was this thing called the Great Compromise, which is our original founding father, Ben Franklin, who is one of the greatest people and one of the worst people of all time. One of the greatest people because he founded one of the greatest countries ever. One of the worst people because he rabble-roused, start the fucking revolution, caused all the problems, and then fucked off to France and just, hung out with chicks the whole time. Like,
I didn't know
hey,
that.
how's that revolution going over there, guys? You guys win it? Or
That's
let me know if we win. I'll come back and help you sort things out. I'm
Wow.
just really trying to get the Navy of France. So like he started the whole revolution and then fucked off to France and like had a 3-year orgy. Then when Washington finally, secured the Potomac, he was like, "Oh, you guys need somebody for the Continental Congress there? Oh, yeah, I'll come back." So he came up with something called the Great Compromise, right? And he essentially believed, is this the most nihilistic thing of all time, that there's no form of government that won't fucking lead to tyranny. So the best thing to do is create a government that will inevitably lead to gridlock. And that is what the United States government is. The whole point of our government is to do nothing. Our government, we have the lower chamber, which can be stopped by the upper chamber. Congress has to pass something just to get it to the Senate. The Senate passes something to get it to the president. The president can veto it, and then it goes right back down. To change the color. It's very frustrating for idealistic young people, and this is why they take to leftism in this country. To change the color of a sign in America takes a year of bureaucratic red tape. That's what they wanted.
Yeah.
They wanted this thing to be insulated from corruption. They wanted this thing to be, and we've kind of lived through the stress test of like, okay, what happens if you have a completely senile fucking president that is the figurehead of a corrupt globalist fucking
You think they were
takeover?
that
That's
smart
right.
to test us on that?
I don't think it. I've
judicial
read it.
branch
They
came
talked
into
about
play.
it.
Oh yeah.
They talked about it. Everything that we talk about today, they talked about. Like we act like they didn't think about
They did.
slavery.
They talked about all
They
of this,
talked
yeah.
about all of it.
They did.
They talked about all of it, and
Well,
they
yeah,
were.
I guess it doesn't just happen.
Well, they were brilliant. The founding father,
Yeah.
they were beyond the founding fathers of America. Now I sound like a jingoistic nationalist, but the truth of the matter is they were the most brilliant revolutionaries in history, and they're also the only revolutionaries to ever beat a global empire and give it back to the citizenry. This is what's the funniest part about Alexander Hamilton getting retconned in America as this great founding father with Hamilton. Hamilton wanted a fucking monarchy. He was like, whoa, we just beat Britain. We should be Britain. I should be Lord Hamilton. You should be King Washington.
That's
what
right.
the fuck are we doing here?
That's right.
He was the original central banker.
Yeah,
Yet somehow
that's right.
he's become the fucking,
right.
the founding father of the proletariat. And what we just lived through, I'm telling you, we were so close to the precipice.
Oh, yeah.
We are, I believe, in America in 2024, this was the first time a communist revolution, a domestic communist revolution, was repelled non-violently. Mm-hmm. In the history of, now communism's only been around for 250 years, but this was the very first time a domestic communist revolution has been repelled non-violently. They're not going to go away.
And they tried to violently take away somebody's life maybe twice.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So they tried that.
Well, the deep state, I mean, it's our CIA's. The funniest thing is we're living through a civil war that nobody knows about.
100%.
We're living through a
Do you
it's
know
a
what
cold
would have?
civil
Can you
war.
imagine
This
what
is
would have
what I
happened
find
if
so
that
wild.
bullet hit, though?
What's up?
Can you imagine what would have happened if that bullet hit? America would have been thrown into turmoil and chaos, and it would have been destabilizing for the whole world.
I don't know.
If Trump got hit on July 13th, 2024,
We got hit.
if it
killed him,
he
you're
did
talking
get
about?
hit. Sorry, if he got hit and died on that day, America was that close. The whole world was that close to ultimate chaos.
No, dude. Taylor Swift would plan a tour. They'd be distracted.
think?
They wouldn't. Something happened.
Bread and
They would
circuses?
distract
Bread and
them.
circuses?
It would be so.
I think it would
I
have
don't
been
know,
crazy.
man.
I mean,
Watching him die on television like that?
It
dude,
wouldn't have
he
been like
got
JFK.
shot, and we didn't even care. People
No,
were joking.
No, a lot
there's
of people
a ton
cared.
of people that
A
saw
lot of
that
people
fucking
cared.
fist. That's an iconic moment in human history.
It's huge.
He gets
huge.
shot, gets up, says fight,
Yeah, that
fight,
was
fight.
big, man.
I disagree. I really do.
You think the
You got that poster
country
here, or-
changed after that?
I do.
Absolutely.
I really do.
That was
I really
a
do.
I
defining
didn't
moment
feel
of
anything
America.
different.
I think that there were people that were reluctantly going along with the kind of leftist bullshit, especially people in the very higher ups of actual, that can move society, that in that moment said,
I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
no, in that moment said, like, to your point, like, there's some people that flat out, like I've said, like, man, God voted on July 13th. Like, the way he moved his head and the bullet just hit his fucking ear, it's asinine. It's fucking
No,
asinine.
100%. It was insane.
Even more insane is the story they tell us, David. Do you know what the official story is, by the way? That this dude rode
gosh.
that fucking crooks
Yeah.
rode his bike
Yeah.
a mile and a half
Nonsense.
with the fucking rifle on his shoulders. A mile and a half through town. Small town, Butler, Pennsylvania. 800 something people.
There was
Everybody knows it.
two shooters,
And
maybe three.
He rides his bike. Well, they said there was 3 guns, right?
Yeah.
On the so that
And you could hear it on the sound thing.
and he gets up. He just knows which one of those buildings is unoccupied. There's a step stool there. He gets up on top of, and he goes on the roof. 150 yards. I don't know if you guys shoot guns. 150 yards.
So, yeah.
That's with an elevation. Pretty decently easy shot.
That was planned. 100%.
And they said that we couldn't have a Secret Service agent there because the roof was slopey. You can't have people rolling the fucking
Yeah, they
ankles.
said that. Oh, the roof
This
is
is what they're
slopey.
going with.
Yeah, that's
and
what
then,
they said.
And then
yeah.
they go search this guy's
roof is
home.
slopey, yeah.
They search this guy's home, and it's been fucking completely wiped clean.
Yeah.
No silverware, nothing.
Wow.
The kid is 20 years old. He has no social media, but he has 3 encrypted phones.
He's on the Black Rock commercial too.
Brother,
Yeah.
come on,
but
man.
see, that's what I'm saying. Is like I didn't see a revolution happen after he got shot.
I
I mean,
did.
No,
you
but
guys
that's the-
definitely
but that's-
voted in a revolutionary
No, I
style.
did, yeah.
The point is that
But
if
there
he had
wasn't
died,
like chaos or violence.
I don't think Mark
the
Zuckerberg
point is-
comes forward. I don't think Jeff Bezos switches camps.
If he
I
died,
I don't.
we would have seen
yeah,
that.
I don't think so.
if he died,
100% they
that
would
was
have.
what I was
Yeah.
saying. Is if he had died, then there would have been absolute chaos in America, and that's what they wanted. It would have been
I don't
completely
know if there'd be
destabilizing.
chaos. I think we'd still be.
You think
The
people would
problem
just
is-
accept it and
The
move
problem
on?
is who is
I
the
think
they.
we'd still be-
We're getting a little long here, so we might have to do this another
Yeah,
time, guys. But
that's true.
the problem is who is the they, and I believe the they is us.
Yeah,
It's
in this
us.
context. Yeah,
It's us. It's been
I didn't
us.
do anything, buddy.
It's us. No, that's true.
blame me,
He gets, see, this is the bullshit about
Don't
being
blame me,
a
man.
Canadian expat. He gets to live here in Florida, But he was like, "Oh no,
me.
the CIA, that's you, eh? That's not me."
And I have to go home and face my Canadian neighbors who say you're not patriotic. You just
Yeah,
go to the
right.
States.
Is that right? Really?
Oh, of course. I heard it from people today. I'm like,
Oh, dude,
"Yes."
I've lost friends moving to Florida.
Why?
People, yeah.
The
Dude, I
same
post-
friends that didn't fucking help you keep your job.
Well, not great people. Oh yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, no,
Right?
it's not. No, I mean, I'm just over. But I'm just saying, generally speaking.
Did
yeah.
any comedians stand up for you?
There
that happen
were
to
a
you?
few comics. Yeah, there's some comics that
That's good.
stood up
That's
for
nice.
me. But I mean, it doesn't really mean much. It didn't. I mean, it definitely meant something to me. But it to help me in any way. Realistically, nobody on the show helped me. That's for sure.
Wow.
Oh no, dude. They just went. They ghosted. They went quiet as fuck. They did not say a thing. They kind of just wanted any of the cast members. They could have possibly definitely helped me. But no, not a mention, not hey, I saw the piece, it was good, just totally ignored it all. Yeah. I mean, anyways, it was definitely a learning experience in my career. And I think it's ultimately, it kind of did help me in a sense. For a few years, it fucked me up because then I would be worried about what I'd say. I mean, it definitely would make me second guess what I'd say because I go, well, is that going to fuck up my career? And now I think I've gotten to a point where I've seen enough bullshit where I go, I don't give a fuck.
Fuck it.
Fuck it, right? I mean, I tried and they still fuck me over. So why even try to play that narrative?
Bingo.
Just say what you want and go with it. That's what got me to that position to begin with.
Yeah.
But then once you get there, especially in Canada, it's very controlled. So it's you want to keep your job there. And there's not a whole lot of entertainment industry around. So
Is your goal to get big enough to come home to Canada and be able to make your living in Canada? And
dude, if I could do, there's a couple comedians, Derek Edwards, amazingly hilarious comedian. This dude if I can live in my fucking cabin and just tour once a year and make my money, go back to my cabin.
Tom Green.
And dude,
Tom
I don't
Green.
need
Tom Green.
Tom Green. I don't need, that's a Canadian dream, man. We don't need much. If we can make a living off of it and just kind of cruise fishing and fucking hunting or doing whatever you want to do, I'm gold. I don't need to do more than that. Yeah, if I could just tour, I'll tour little towns in Canada, and I'd be very happy to just do that, man. I think Canada's a great place. There's a lot of Canadians that think very similarly. We just can't be as vocal a lot of times.
so they all live in Florida.
Yeah,
No.
well, most Canadians live in the Canadian outside of Canada. I think the most number of Canadians live in Florida.
Is that right? Really?
I'm just making it up, but I think it's
I
true.
think California.
Well, there's
but
more-
Florida is a lot.
there's
California,
more-
I think, is the number one. But yeah,
There's more Irish Americans than there are people in Ireland.
Interesting.
in
That's the
Florida?
beautiful thing about this whole
No, in America.
in
continent.
America, right?
There are more Irish Americans than there are
That's
Irish
incredible.
in Ireland. So we came here to America and
the famine,
which was
no potatoes,
a British genocide.
right?
Yeah. So
Can I just say that one of the huge reasons for the reason why we're here is because I wanted to congratulate the Americans on the victory. And so congratulations. And
well, what's next for you, Phil?
Here's to the next
what's
4 years.
What's next for you, bud?
Cheers.
What's next for me? I'm going to continue doing what I do in Toronto, which is my number one mission is to try to expose the narrative that the media tries to paint and get Trudeau out of there and do whatever I can do to help that happen. Just like I
Dude,
feel,
20 more years of them. Come on, man.
just like I feel.
This isn't bad. Are you having a bad time?
Yes, I am.
Really?
It's hell.
Come
Yes,
on,
it's
things
hell.
are great.
It's very stressful. Trust me.
Things are
Sometimes.
great.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing there. And,
Trudeau today.
yeah.
Trudeau forever.
Just like I felt like I was I'm honored to. Most of my followers are from the States. It's about 70%. And so that's an honor for me because I feel like I was able to contribute to some of the wave that was against what was happening over the past 4 years. And I'm happy to be able to done that. And Americans are very supportive of stuff, right? Like most
are.
Canadians, they blow up in the States. So I was kind of able to kind of do that being in Canada still. I didn't really have to travel to LA or travel to wherever, but I never really intended for that. All I wanted to do is just speak the truth no matter the cost, right? And so now that America is more or less handled, I can focus my attention back on Canada, which I have been doing recently. As soon as Trudeau is gone, then we just have
And
to...
are you positive Trudeau will be gone?
Well, I mean, only God knows that.
Can't get rid of
Only, yeah.
Can't get rid of him.
Only
man.
God knows that. But March 24th is when Parliament's supposed to come back. The government will fall because the vote of non-confidence will happen.
Yeah, if all goes
and
through.
then
What is the vote of non-confidence?
So whenever a government is in a minority government, which means during the election, if they didn't win a majority, then they are a minority government. A minority government is very weak, and they can collapse at any time over something as bad as a bill that nobody agrees on. So the reason why, so Trudeau got 2 back-to-back minority governments, and the way he moved around that was making a deal with the NDP to have a coalition government, which is the most anti-Canadian.
What is the NDP?
It's another
You,
party.
you have
is-
to assume we know nothing.
Sorry. So
it's,
it's the New Democrat Party. That's what they call
We
it.
have more than one
Yeah,
party.
we have
in
3
Canada.
main parties,
You guys have
right?
Republicans and
You guys, yeah.
right? Democrats.
NDP
We
would
have-
be like
Exactly.
your Democratic Socialists. Is that the idea?
Yeah, they're a little bit more left than the Liberals are, to be honest with
Okay.
you. But anyway, so they made a deal with them, a pact with them, that they would vote together and essentially be one government. And that's how they've been able to
Basically
pass.
hijacking
That's how
democracy.
they've been able to
Really?
pass all of the unpopular things. Canadians did not vote for it. It's been the most anti-Canadian, most egregious thing that's ever happened in Canadian history.
Is that right?
It's
It's
completely
very much
against
like
the will
a
of the people.
dictatorship.
It's completely
They
against the will of the
hijack
people.
the government.
Yeah. So now, but NDP has agreed to pull their support because they're going down with the Liberals because Poilievre is up by 20%, killing them
Who?
both. Pierre Poilievre has been up
Poilievre.
by 20% over the past 18 months because people are angry about this coalition government and the things that it's brought to Canada. So because of that, NDP has decided that it's no longer popular to be in Trudeau's camp, so they're going to pull their support. So he came out and said, I'm going to pull the support. And so since they've pulled support, Trudeau is in a minority government, and as soon as Parliament comes back, there will be a vote on the budget, on whatever, and the government will collapse. We'll go to an election.
The government collapses. What does that mean?
So the
They have
government
to call an
collapses.
election.
Yeah, when they're in
They
a
have
minor.
to call an election.
Yeah, when you're in a minority government, you can collapse in Parliament with one bad bill. So let's just say Trudeau wants to get $10 million for the border to fight against the border, and this is all true. In order for him to get the money to safeguard the border, he has to go to Parliament to do it. The reason why Canada's done nothing on the border is because he decided to suspend Parliament because he knows that his government will collapse. That's why Canada has done nothing on the border, right?
So could he theoretically pull out a miracle, get the votes, and pass the bill?
He
Even
could
right now, I don't
theoretically.
even know how he's going to do it because Parliament is prorogued. So
Yeah.
our Parliament doesn't exist right now. The government is like frozen.
So
So I don't even know how he's going to pass all these
Yeah.
things that he made a deal with,
With
Trump,
Trump?
to do. Yeah.
Interesting.
It-
yeah.
this is
So you guys
the
don't have
contention.
executive power or anything like that. Like you can't
If
like
you call the
He does.
Emergencies Act, then
Yeah.
you could do what you want, which is what they did during the truckers.
He can't do
They
it
called
right now.
the Emergencies Act so that he can freeze bank accounts. He can now do anything he wants.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to go to Parliament and go, hey, does every other MP want to vote with me to freeze these bank accounts? He could just do what he wants.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's the Emergencies
So-
Act. At
Can he-
times
can
of
he pull that
desperation.
now? Could he
can
pull that now?
fucking right
No,
now.
he can't. He can't right now. Not on the border.
Well,
It
unless
needs,
unless he proves, you have to say that the country is under threat.
yeah.
It's like like you guys have it too. If a country's under threat, there's a way for the government to basically shut down. The governing party is now in charge. They handle it. They do what they need to do to get
Would
it.
those tariffs? Would the tariff be a potential threat that he could pull?
I don't know about that actually. I don't have the answer on that.
That's,
If it
depends
was,
if
he would have done it
if he
because they were
tries.
supposed to come in by tomorrow. So I mean, Mexico is doing something right away. They're sending 10,000 people to the border. Poilievre is calling for Canada to send 10,000 people to the border. But Trudeau's all talk, man.
From what I read on that, it sounds like Trudeau's saying we already have 10,000
Exactly.
personnel.
He says we already have
working
10,000
at
there
the
working.
border.
So he's basically saying, yeah, we already have 10,000 people. Trudeau's very tricky with his
He's
language. you know?
fucking tricky with
He's
his
a,
words.
I can't.
He's dude. He
There's never been somebody
he's-
that I've hated so
he's-
much.
Really?
he's,
Yeah, it's hard for me to say that.
He likes the communist way, like the way China runs. He's very like anyone who runs communism. He loves like
He
it's
loves
like
He
almost like
said that.
he's got
he said that. He
somewhat
said,
of a.
I like China because they are a communist society and they can pass things on the drop of a dime. That's literally what he said.
He's very so that I
Dangerous.
mean that and like what he was saying with the whole coalition thing is so I mean it's like you're hijacking democracy because
It's
you have
absolutely what he said.
you have a minority government because not all of the country wanted you there.
That's right.
So you didn't
We
win
limited
a
his
popular
power.
vote. So now you need to work with the other parties. If
That's
you want to
right.
pass a bill, the other parties have to go, yes, I agree, that's a good bill.
He went
We'll
around
say
democracy
yes.
in the
So
in the
he
craziest way.
Yeah,
that,
he hijacked the country didn't agree to him being in full control.
How long ago was this?
This was
this
just
is
during
2021.
Just on COVID.
Just during
Yeah,
COVID.
Wow,
He
so
made
he's
a
got an extra
coalition.
4 years.
He made a coalition
Yeah.
with the NDP. Realistically, he would have had to collapse his government a long time ago.
Oh,
God,
it
What
wouldn't
he's
have
saying
lasted. Yeah.
is he basically worked a deal with the NDP,
Absolutely.
another party, to say if you work with us, we'll just, I don't know, whatever their deal was, but now just pass everything we want passed, say yes to it.
Oh, wow.
And
Just
they
give us a
did.
few more months.
Wow.
We'll
They
figure this
did.
out. Give us a few more
Dude,
months.
they
We'll
did.
figure this.
So
We'll
the-
clean
so
house.
So
hijacked
the
democracy.
further left, smaller party really controlled the government then.
The two of them
Yep.
together. They solidified Trudeau's ability to do what he wanted.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
Because otherwise, the Conservatives would always shoot down any motion or bill that he'd want to pass, and
Sure.
then you'd have to collapse government because there's not enough people are agreeing. So we're not passing anything.
Are you? Do you feel optimistic about a Polyev government?
I do.
I just don't feel. I feel like Canada's just too fucked. Like we need a complete overhaul. Like I definitely feel we need somebody other than Justin Trudeau in there. I don't think Poilievre's the best. Do you have another? Unless somebody, we don't have options.
Yeah, Rob Ford's dead.
We don't have
Yeah,
options.
he was
Rob
before
Ford.
Trump. There was Rob Ford.
It's
I
just
think
like,
Trump was taking notes when Rob Ford was. He
But
was like,
listen,
okay,
the good thing about Pierre Poilievre, if he says what he's doing, he does have an idea of putting Canada first. He does have an idea to cut taxes to help the people. He has,
he's saying all the right
he's
things.
saying
Let's see what he does.
What he is.
He so far, like I've been watching him since 2019. I've always been saying like, this guy needs to be prime minister. I like this guy. So when the trucker
he
thing
does what he
happened,
says,
I was
he'll
like,
be great.
yeah. So
Yeah.
he's saying all the right things, and he. You ever seen the meme with him eating an apple and taking
Yeah,
down
that
a
was
report?
great. That was
He's
fantastic.
a truest form of a conservative. You know
Well,
what I
it
mean?
wasn't him. I mean, the thing about him eating the apple was like, man, what has happened to the journalists in Canada? My
It's
God
what I
almighty.
like
That
So
was-
yeah, let's see
I
what he
agree.
does.
There's-
Let's see what he does.
That's it. Yeah, I want to see what he
Actions.
does, but I agree. I like the approaches he takes. I like the things he's saying. It's just we're very skeptical again because we've seen a lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
So
I think Trump has this all mapped. To be honest with you, he acts like he doesn't really know Canada, but I think he's got this mapped out. He's planned this. He's
He
like,
knows
okay,
what
I
he's
need to
doing.
get rid of Trudeau. Like the day that he won, I did a live with somebody, and I was saying like what we can expect. I said I think Trump is going to work on getting Trudeau out as soon as possible. On November 6th, we made this podcast, and that's exactly what happened.
Trudeau came down to Mar-a-Lago after the election.
Sucking at the teeth.
Yeah, like right after the election, and then he left, and he tweeted about a good
It was a good-
conversation
it was-
with President-elect
I
Trump.
love that.
And then Trump the next day
hilarious.
was like, "Little Justin
It
came
was
to
amazing.
Mar-a-Lago.
I
I
love,
told
like,
him to get his
we
bitch
will-
ass out of here. We don't want no communism." It was fucking nuts.
The level of
It was
entertainment.
it was
is amazing.
so fucking disrespectful.
I love it. I love
Like,
it. And the
I
governor
can't-
Trudeau, the 51st. I love it.
And I think a lot of people, and this is what upsets
It's
people,
great.
is they've never been big and strong, so they don't understand the value of leaning on people and how this is actually how you get. You're like, this tariffs. This is not how you deal with your neighbors.
I was arguing with somebody
Yeah,
about that today.
I don't know.
It
Like, have
is.
you ever asked somebody to do something and then they say no, and you're like, I wasn't really asking, and then they do it? Like, it's a pretty good way to work. I'm just
true.
saying. I'm just saying.
Is this the overbearing thing you were talking about? Jokes though.
Fucking Canadians. Fucking Canadians.
The truth about
And with
Promain
that,
show.
guys, this has been an incredible Gerard Vs Evil Canadian edition. This is so Terrence and Philip, tell them where they can find you guys. And I'm sorry, is that just out of all the things I
Terrence
said?
and
Is
Philip.
that all the things? Phil, tell them where they
great.
can find you, man.
So yeah, I'm Promain Show everywhere, primarily Instagram, Promain Show, and you can also check out thepромainshow.com. And yeah, that's where you can find me. I will
.com,
be
not
there.
.ca, huh?
No, I made sure it was
done.
.com.
Well done.
100%.
And Abdul, where can they find you, man?
At Abdul's Butt on all the social media platforms as well as YouTube. Yeah, you can find all my stuff online, and yeah, I'm around here doing jokes with you, buddy.
Yeah, man. Two of my absolute favorite follows online, guys. Give them both a follow. Really, really great stuff. He's going to Abdul is going to argue with you for following the whole time and talk about how dumb social media is, but then you're going to be like, I'm on it, so why was this dumb? And Promain is going to give you, how do you, oh, dude, you got such a great catchphrase at the beginning. And
let me bring you up to
that's
speed.
That's right. Let me bring you up to speed.
Yeah, I like catchphrases. Or I bet they didn't talk about this on your 5 o'clock news.
That's right, man. Promain is great. Phil, Abdul, this has been fantastic. The great David Parr behind. Sam, the prettiest one in the room. Thanks for staying off camera. I'm Gerard
Protect
Michaels.
her identity.
Yeah. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.